Good afternoon from Baden, Switzerland, coming to you live coverage of the Curling Champions Tour Baden Masters Final, played here in the Curling Centrum in Baden. We've got Ulsrud and Cruz qualifying for the final. Harvard Vaught Pedersen, Christopher Saw, Torger Nergard, and Thomas Ulsrud. And for the Swiss, Valentin Tanner, Peter de Cruz, Claudio Patz, and Benoit Schwartz. 20 teams started this event on Friday morning, and we're down to the final two. Been some great action all weekend long. And we saw some great semifinals too. Ulsrud defeating Edin in an extra end. De Cruz having a comfortable game against a strong playing Rasmus Stenner from Denmark, who had a great tournament this weekend. So the winner of this game will take home 11,000 Swiss francs, which is about 15,000 Canadian, and the loser will take home 8,000 Swiss francs. And the all-important points for order of merit and qualification points in their own countries. Ulsrud, world champion 2014. De Cruz, silver medalist at the Europeans last year, and bronze medalist 2014 at those same Worlds in Beijing. So lots of experience, both teams here. Should be a good game. Ulsrud having come through, De Cruz having come through undefeated in their group. Ulsrud also undefeated, so the only two undefeated teams in the entire competition facing off here in the final of the Baden Masters Curling Champions Tour opening event. Valentin Tanner putting the first rock into play here in the final. Temperatures outside are a nice and cool 34 degrees. A couple of degrees cooler than yesterday. And joining me now, happy to say, I've got Marcel Rock, coach of the Chinese men's team, and also known for a couple of curling exploits over the last few decades.
Well, thanks, Armin, for inviting me. It's nice to be here on this side of the glass, watching and being a fan.
Looking forward to hearing your comment. Know your commentary on the ice and next to the ice, so it'll be interesting to hear your commentary here and find out what your take is on the situation and the games and the teams and what you're doing now. Just it was announced about a month ago that you're taking over or even less than a month ago. I'm not sure how quick that went, but you're coaching your old team again that you were coaching in Sochi.
Yeah, it's you never know how life can bring you all kinds of curveballs, and this was another example of it. I've coached Rachel Holman's team the last couple of years, and then this opportunity came, and I guess it feels like it's kind of being part of a team that I was part of before, so it was an opportunity for me to help the Chinese program again. So
it'll certainly be interesting to see what you do, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it throughout the rest of the game here. I'd like to have your opinion about these two teams. We got Ulsrud and Cruz, both undefeated throughout the tournament. I don't know how much you managed to observe of either team, but give me your impression of this game.
Well, we actually were in the same pool as Cruz, and they managed to take one big end on us to put us away. They're a good young team. They've been traveling a lot, working a lot at the game. So I think they're starting off kind of at the same level that they left off last year, which was a pretty high level. And Ulsrud, nobody needs to really know much about them because they've been around for so long and they're such a great team. So I think it should be an interesting battle here.
Well, we've got some nicely set up rocks here already. Nice hit and roll we just saw there from the Swiss sitting two behind guards. The Norwegians have the hammer playing red rocks here in the first end. And already their Norwegians have to come up with something here to remove those shot rocks that are sitting in the forefoot. Christopher Sval.
He's usually pretty close on these shots. I'm not sure how these guys finished off last year, and I'm not sure why. Maybe you can tell me why Thomas isn't holding the broom right now. I'm not sure.
I think there's some physical
injuries,
injury issues with Torger, so that's why he's staying in house. And I think he seems to like it, so he may not be giving it up too quickly either.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I talked to him a little bit, but I didn't come out and ask. So I was assuming either that, or maybe they tried to change something up, and maybe they'll enjoy this change for a while if they manage to win their first Bonspiel of the season. Against a great field you've got here, Armand. Lots of great teams here. So aside from no Canadian teams, you've got all of the big guns here in Europe and a couple of the big teams in Asia. So
you've played this event yourself with Randy and the boys back when you were here.
I can't remember. There's been so.
I know
many
you've been to
here,
Basel a few times.
Yeah,
and I think you've been here too, though.
Yeah, no, we played here. I think with we had Brent McDonald with us here, and we did a 3-week stint in Europe, and we did 2 Bonspiels in Switzerland.
I remember that. Yeah.
So after this event was finished, I believe we lost the finals, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. And to Ralph Struckley or something.
Might have been. Or we beat Ralph in the final in the second event. You've got a young team here that's going to put a lot of pressure on Ulsrud, and we're going to see probably a force here.
It should be the pretty well the number one team in Switzerland right now in the men's. There are a couple of other ones that might argue that point, Pfister being one, and maybe the young Schroller team developing that we've seen certainly will push these guys, which is good. But I think these guys got the most experience right now, and have been together long enough to be ready to produce. And they all already have produced some medals at European and world level. So that's.
I was speaking to them after our game, and I believe it's Ben. Was he the skip? Is that
he's playing Fourth Rocks.
Yeah.
Peter de Cruz is the skip. Yep.
Great. So I think he spent some time in Rio and.
Yes, he did.
Over the course of the games, and I was speaking with their coach, who I know fairly well because we competed against
Claudio Pesce.
Yeah, and he was talking a little bit about how much that kind of stuff motivates that young guy, and he had the same experience as he went with Team Michel as a 5th player to the Worlds in Beijing. So those were experiences that drive and fuel him as a young player, and so I guess it translates into pretty good performance. Hey, he's in the final.
I see a lot of players working hard, but I don't know if I see too many players working as hard as Benoit Schwartz. His training program is quite extensive. So we got the Cruz sitting here in the forefoot. There seems to be a natural raise on those red ones. Ulsrud having the hammer. So.
The other thing I see with these young guys, and probably brought on from Claudio's experience and such, but I know they're working with a sports psychologist and such. And so, you see a young team that's really, really trying to do everything they can to give themselves the best opportunity to A, represent their country, and B, get some international experience over the next couple of years, maybe in a world championship or something of that caliber, in order to prepare for their Olympic run.
Did you guys do any sports psychology when you were playing together in those days?
Yeah, we did a lot.
No?
Yeah.
You hit it though. You hit it though.
Yeah. I mean, we hit a lot of things. We did a lot of things behind the door that no one really knew, and we had a small basketball player named Steve Nash. We had his sports psychologist for a while.
I've heard of him before.
Yeah, so we used his same sports psychologist
Okay.
from BC for a little while, and we were exposed to a lot of it. So, yeah, I think that we did a lot of that stuff, and there's a lot of people that didn't really realize how much we were putting into it back then.
I'm sure the book will come out sometime.
Secrets are best left as secrets.
Double attempt here, noses it.
So, as I said earlier, looked like a forced situation, and if they throw the next few rocks carefully here, they should be able to get a force out of the deal here.
Do you want to roll to the middle here, or maybe roll to the other side?
I think it's important not to set up the double, so if you roll a little to the other side, you might give an easier double. It's hard to tell on angles. We always used to say it looks easier on or harder on TV.
Oh, okay. the
shots.
double, the shots. Okay, I got you. Benoit Schwartz. Always a solid, smooth delivery.
Well, aren't they all nowadays? It's just no one comes out shaky. And it's amazing, the first event. And there's your first mistake.
Yeah, there's a mistake and rolls out.
And there's the force gone and an opportunity at a deuce now.
So you've been enjoying some of the hot temperatures that are here? Has it been this hot in Edmonton too? Or? Got your little Chinese fan here.
I do. I brought it because I knew.
That's big enough to fan the whole place almost.
Are you complaining? Or?
No. Just keep going. Just keep going. It might sound funny on the microphones, but it's good. It's pretty warm behind the glass.
Yes.
Has been all weekend.
Probably unseasonally or not normal to have this kind of heat in Switzerland.
Well, we keep saying that, but Baden Masters is always pretty hot. It just seems to get hotter every year.
Yeah.
How your this is the first time your lads have been in Switzerland?
I'm not 100% sure of that. I don't know if they've been here before or not. I know they've done some European tours, like I know they've done Scotland, I know they've done Hamburg in Germany, and I'd be surprised if they haven't hit something here. Where last year European Masters?
I don't think they played last year, did they?
Yeah, I think.
Well, in April last season, you mean?
Right.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's right. That was only a few months ago.
Yeah, I know. Doesn't this game seem so long now? It's
That's
almost
right.
year round.
We actually had them, and Betty came over too. Played on the women's side, the European Masters.
Right.
Yeah. So silly question. I take it back. Of course they've been to Switzerland.
Nice pants. Hey.
Yep. Get their tiger pants going today.
And there is a good example of the drag effect on two rocks hitting on the opposite side that you might think, and pulling the stationary stone in the direction that you want it to go. And so what went from a simple force possibility is now a 2, unless Benoit can make a difficult double here.
It is half open. I think the double could be there, but it is a long cross-house double.
Yeah.
Got to get the angle just right.
I guess if this was Sweden and Eden throwing this, I would probably say that it's almost a guarantee, but for the mere mortals like the rest of us, there's a better possibility at an error here and a chance at a 2.
Well, you never got to throw too many doubles in your life either, did you?
No, not when I stepped up to men's and started playing lead. My double days went away.
Benoit Schwartz looking for the double.
It's got a curl.
Pat's working it. It's
It's
one.
awfully close.
Just misses it. Oh,
That's unfair.
yes.
What a great attempt. So now, pending no error here with draw weight, Team Ulsrud should pick up their 2.
Considering the temperatures outside, you've been satisfied with the conditions here in Baden
Yeah, I know for
in
sure.
the tournament itself.
You know, we heard possibilities of ice troubles, but the draws that we played, somehow we played 3 games the first day, so it was a long first. We're gonna remember the beginning of our season this year because it was a long day for the boys.
Yep.
And a long day for my behind sitting on these benches here, but.
There's no pillows. I don't think, so. We'll work on that for next year.
Yeah, maybe I need to sit more, although I feel like I'm doing quite a bit of that in the airplane.
Draw for 2 here in the first end.
Thomas's strength is usually his touch and finesse, so I expect him to be pretty close, although the boys are quite far away from it.
Had to draw to the button in the extra end against Edin to win the semi-final.
Oh boy.
And this is looking warm, but
I think
it
he's all
looks
right.
like it's going to break. So a score of 2 here in the first end. Ulsrud of Norway takes a 2-0 lead at the Baden Masters.
Gutter, det er ganske bra effekt i de kostene dere, så vi må prøve å være litt forsiktige. Ja, begge veier.
Oui, mais ouais, corner, ouais. Oui, bien sûr. Non, mais on peut les battre dans ce jeu-là. Ouais. Moi, je suis sûr. Ouais. Il n'y a que comme ça qu'on les bat, d'ailleurs.
Ok, gjør en sånn puss.
Jeg vet ikke om det var. Vi prøver.
Når den ligger sånn, så ligger den på nedsiden av toppen. Nå klager den mye.
Jeg tror jeg skal ha mer is så tidlig i kampen.
Litt vide.
Curling Champions Tour coverage live from Baden Masters here in Switzerland, about 30 miles west of
Så nærmest, da kan vi gå.
Zurich, not far from the airport, in the canton of Aargau, German-speaking part of Switzerland. Ulsrud, with what was looking like he was going to get into trouble in the first end, comes up with a 2 and takes the early lead here in the final. 11,000 Swiss francs, which is about 15,000 Canadian, on the line for the winner. That's not a bad way to start the season.
No, yeah, it's definitely good prize money for any Bonspiel. They've got their work cut out for them, Team Cruz, but you know, as we saw last end, one simple error and it can turn on a dime. So we'll see if Ulsrud will be as generous and give one of those opportunities up fairly early to get this game back into a tight situation. If not, I think Team de Cruz will show some patience and try not to take too many risks.
Bare kjør, her er greit. Kom igjen, kjør. Må han inn, må han
Bumpy's
inn,
been
må han
known
inn.
to nose a guard once in a while.
Yeah.
Good setup here, Harvard. Of course,
So he just said, I got the opportunity here to listen to some
French.
Yes, I've got some
Of course,
French
with a
here.
name like Marcel Roch, it has to be French.
Yes. So he said it was really important to hold the shooter here, which I was going to say before, and then he translated it, or I'm translating it. But
Okay.
so he asked for a quieter weight to make sure that the shooter doesn't roll off. The jam doesn't even matter. Yeah, important to keep his 2 corner guards up.
Well, and successful at that. Valentin Tanner's been playing a really solid tournament. Great couple of games that we've covered the Cruz team. Of course, they're speaking French because their home club is in Geneva, Genève, western part of Switzerland.
Ja! Hard, 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 hard.
And almost nosed it.
Isn't that what you predicted? fairly early.
That rolled far enough to be pretty well ineffective.
So you're going to see an opportunity here to try to force Team Ulsrud to maybe chase something in the house.
Peter de Cruz skipping and throwing second rocks. Claudio Patz throwing third rocks, and Benoit Schwartz, who's now in the house, throws the fourth rocks.
Did they make those changes last year? Or?
Yeah, they were testing a little bit. I think they were moving around, finding out Peter was throwing third rocks. And Claudio came in the team last year already, so I think this might be the right rotation. Throwing. Certainly has worked so far. Season is early. Nice little bump back behind the 4 foot.
Ja, det en 2-3 stein imellom.
Christopher Thaw
Ja, ja.
being asked to remove that shot. You went into Zurich yesterday. On a hot day in the city.
Hardt.
Yeah, it was beautiful. We almost decided to jump in the lake, but we didn't bring our bathing suits, so we just watched
This
other
is Europe.
people.
There's no problem. Just do it. Nice, clean-looking lake.
It's
The waters in Switzerland are amazing. How clean they are.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It was really really wonderful day. Spent some time walking around, tried to find some shade or walk on the shady side of the street.
Yep. Cruz looking at freeze on the back of the button here on the 4 foot. Sweeper's working it hard. So you're satisfied with the performance of your team?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we won our first game, but we really didn't play all that well, and then we lost the second one to De Cruz here, and we were a little unfortunate, to be honest.
Covered that game. Yep.
Yeah, so the first, second end we had a draw for 3, and we only picked up 2, and then the fourth end we had a draw for 2 and only picked up 1. So clean up those errors a little bit, and then we just 4 or 5 mistakes in the same end from all of the players, including some sweeping errors, and they snap you for 5, and it's pretty much game over in the short 8-end game. So we turned around and played a really good game against Eden, and like I said, it was a third game in the day, and went to last rock, although the score, I think he got 3 on us on the last rock, but he did have to throw his last rock, and it was a really well played game. So
you arrived on Tuesday, I think, or Tuesday, or what, or Monday, Tuesday?
Yeah, I
Or
believe
you came in later?
No, I think we showed up Tuesday and had a day to recover and practice a little bit on Wednesday.
Obviously, time changes is in effect here. They're 8 hours ahead of here, which means when you play that last draw of the day, that's middle of the night somewhere.
Yeah,
Can imagine that's also an issue to deal with.
well, you know, when you look at today's day and age with the sports science everywhere, there's a pretty good formula in terms of dealing with jet lag and doing the right things, and so the turnaround is actually pretty quick, even though you're not 100%. It's a lot better than what we used to do. They do the right things and try to sleep the right times on the plane, and they, you know, a day or 2 before they try to do some things to try to start the change. And,
Okay.
and by the time you get here, it's not an excuse.
Torger and Erkart.
These guys have been around. I'm trying to figure out how many years they played together because,
And he jams it.
and that's an interesting situation now.
Forrige var jo
Do you know how long Ulsrud's team's been together?
Oh, well, Ulsrud was playing with Trulsen for a while. I think probably 10 years now, I think.
C'est un tiers.
Pretty close to 10.
Oh, yeah, it's at
There's
least
been some changes in the front end
Yes.
every once in a while. But I think Torger and
About 10
Thomas
years.
have been together 10 years.
Ah ouais. On peut faire out. Hein.
Those guys have been playing Champions Tour. This Champions Tour has been around for
Ok, ouais.
10, 11 years now.
Juste au bord, mais c'est bon.
Den bruker å bli jævlig clean.
Ouais.
Thomas, of course, had to wait a long time for Trulsen to pack it in or stop winning
well, it's
before he got his real shot at it.
it's interesting because I think that we were playing Trulsen when these guys were starting to come up, and we played these guys in a couple bonspiels, and
6-7.
they had won the Norwegian championships and still weren't representing. So the systems are different in different countries, and
Well, a lot of them systems have changed. You'll certainly get that in Sweden, I believe. Edin is pretty well set for some of these big events.
right.
A lot of systems have changed over the last 10 years.
Yeah, everyone's looking since the inclusion of the Olympic Games
Yeah,
as
that's
to,
changed a lot for
as to how things are decided.
Switzerland. Was heading for a team selection, national team selection, about 7 years ago, but then decided not to go that way. And I'd like to think there's a pretty good competitive system now in Switzerland where a lot of good young teams are playing to fight for that top spot. And I think there's 3, 4, maybe even 5 potential teams in Switzerland right now that can compete and vie for that spot, and they're all well under 30. So there's a lot of good legs there.
Yeah, lots of good future prospects for sure for Switzerland, and notoriously a country that's been very, very strong in curling over the history of the game, the modern game anyways, and you know, your women's program is amazing as well, because a few years ago you had 3 of the top 4 teams in the world on tour, and very, very successful at the world level. And
Hold on. Hard on.
Just rolls out enough. Switzerland, or the Swiss team,
Right.
with their yellow rock sitting second and third shot here. I think that red one may be just a little bit better than the yellow one.
well, if your camera angle's right, I would agree with you. It was interesting. I shouldn't be talking so much. I should be talking about the game, but they turn
Go
around.
ahead, go ahead.
They turn around and played that split, and a lot of people back home may want to rush that shot and try to sit 2 earlier. But playing that split then causes Ulsrud to make a decision as to where he wants to try to eliminate that third rock, and the elimination of that third shot stone isn't always with a takeout. It's proper placement. So if Thomas would have been able to roll for third shot here, then it takes a little bit of the pressure off. But now there's a 3 in play, and if Benoit makes a good shot here, then Thomas is going to have to make a double to keep them to 2 points. So really good, option for the Swiss to show that they're confident, and they're patient, and they're taking chances when they need them.
And they're making nice shots when they need them too.
Right. So here's that double that we were talking about earlier, and it's a little bit steep, but even if he makes it perfect,
They've got to play for 2.
yeah, should have a play for 2. I guess if he hit a little bit higher, he could possibly roll back behind the yellow, or
Roll across the house.
even up towards the red. But it should be a play for two to tie the game at the very least. Unless he misses and those hits and then a hit for 3.
I'm sure he's very aware how important this shot is right now.
Yep.
Thomas Ulsrud, his last rock in his second end. Seems to be close. Gets one, and he does roll across
And there's
it.
the 3 ball. So what an answer, hey, to come back right away and take advantage of one mistake again, and just all of the players played basically really well through the end, and one little error, and there's your chance at 3. Still have to make it, but it doesn't take much in this game to have people at home looking at a line score and saying, oh well, they mustn't have been playing well, they gave up a 3-ender, and really it's
Little things.
yeah, it's one mistake really.
And of course, this promises to be a entertaining game if it keeps going the way it is.
Yep.
First 2 ends very, very well played, exciting, and a free draw here for Benoit Schwartz. Needs to get a good piece of the house. I'm sure this will be close to the center anyways. Well done, into the 4-foot. Used to sweep those things right on the button too, didn't you?
Yeah,
Score of 3
it's a front end thing.
here at the Baden Masters.
Ja, men det nesten det ser ut som nå. Ja, men må nesten bare gå over der, for jeg synes det ser ut som du roper det samme som meg, du da.
We're here in the finals of the Baden Masters, the Curling Champions Tour first event. Cruz, Ulsrud. The Cruz just scoring a big 3 to take a 1-point lead, 3-2. And I'm here with, my name's Armin Harder. I'm here with Marcel Rock, coach of the Chinese men's team, and also renowned for some curling exploits. How many world champions did you win? 4?
No, we went to 4.
Oh, you went to 4, right?
We lost the first one in Lausanne,
Right.
Switzerland,
I remember that one well.
and ended up winning the next few.
I think I was actually in Ottawa when you won your first Brier as a team.
Yep. And that's going back to 2001.
That's right.
So some of these new players probably don't even remember that. We're so old. It was so long ago.
That was a very interesting Brier. There was, I think you not only had to deal with some good curling, you also had to deal with some pigeons in the ceiling.
Debris
Pigeon
coming
debris.
down. Yep. Yeah.
And I've had the misfortune of playing you guys a couple of times too, but that never went well. It was always usually a very short game.
Well, it was the beginning of the free guard rule. We kind of started, and a lot of teams weren't really comfortable and ready to play with this many rocks in play, and we decided early that we were going to walk that tightrope and live on the edge of the sword, and we got pretty comfortable with it, and it. Now you see all of these players ready to, like you see here, a situation where Team de Cruz picks up his 3 to go back up, and right away he's not worried about putting rocks in the house. He's throwing the guard and then coming around, and we're mixing it up right away, and it's nice to see that the that the proficiency of every player at every level now, from lead to skip, has to be prepared to play the most difficult shots in the game on a consistent basis.
We've seen how important the lead has been all weekend here. We've covered a couple of games where the leads have struggled a little bit in their games, and we've seen how that's put the teams behind the 8 ball. Certainly they have had not much of a chance to win those games, no matter how good the rest of the team was shooting.
Yeah, it's a snowball effect, right? I mean, if your lead makes some difficult shots and puts a little more pressure on the other team, and then maybe they make a little bit of a mistake, and then your second shots are easier, and their shots are a little harder, and so forth. So I think that's the simplified version of what you try to do as a player out there and as a team.
That Swiss guard is a long way out, and it looks like they're wrecking on it.
The reaction he just gave there indicates probably to me that there was a pick. It picked up some kind of debris and changed its trajectory.
That center guard was a little long for my liking anyways.
Yeah, no, when you got two things working for you here, you've got good ice that curls, and then you've got these brooms that can assist in that even more. Those high guards basically don't exist.
We've had to continue with the rules that we finished the season off with for this event, because not all teams were able to get equipped in time with the new material. The next events will be with new material only. By then all the manufacturers should have been able to deliver the teams.
Right. So there's another example. Hey, a picked rock, something, you hate to see it, but it happens. And now Team de Cruz is chasing and in early risk of giving that multiple point end back already, right? Just talking about half. So we must be playing that run. He's going to run it into the center one.
And just comes across the front of it.
A lot of people back home might be thinking, why didn't he run that straight back? You could play that run back and maybe even get everything, but if you play it, you're leaving another guard, and even if you move them, you've got the yellow guard to come around as well. So chasing the one off the center and moving the guard off exposes all rocks.
It's interesting to watch Thomas Ulsrud sweeping.
Pretty fit guy, so I don't think it hurts them at all.
But he probably hasn't trained those muscles.
Yeah. So double into even a triple situation.
I think that's what Peter's looking at, if the triple is there.
Even if it isn't, I think catching it a little high brings that yellow guard into play to protect your shooter if it can stop there.
Claudio Petz throwing third rocks. European champion a couple of years ago with Sven Michel. Gets a nice low roll.
And spins back, nice little freeze. Hit and roll back should be pretty square, How's the mixed doubles game starting to shape up here in Switzerland, Armin?
Well, Switzerland has won more gold medals in mixed doubles worlds than any other country. I think it's been 5 times in Switzerland's, or 6 times in Switzerland's won it, 4 I believe, or something like that. The Champions Tour has created a tour. We actually have one mixed doubles event in your neck of the woods, put together by Heather Nedwin in Sherwood Park.
Oh, nice.
So that's a Champions Tour event now, and we got one in Grand Prairie, and the rest of the world doing that. And Switzerland's organized a full program of mixed doubles being run by Laurent Spidou.
Oh, yes.
So Europeans are certainly taking the mixed doubles very seriously, which just makes it winning the gold medal that much harder all of a sudden. Didn't have a good Worlds last year for Switzerland.
So there's a great example of commentator being asleep, because I said he could hit that and roll over and leave a square setup, but I didn't see the side rock. So again, a heads-up play. You can see a pile of experience here with Ulsrud trying to generate the points rather than hitting that hard on the nose and kind of eliminating the end. He tried to move his red out of the way, leave yellow second shot, and knowing that de Cruz would be able to sit 1 and 2, but hope that he could give himself an opportunity at generating that bigger 2 or 3 points still.
Didn't quite move far enough, though, I think. Good opportunity here for de Cruz to move out. The number of rocks gets 1 and goes up again.
How nice is that?
Seeing some great curling, great shot making here.
Yep.
Sitter vi shot bak guard.
3 rocks left to come to try to generate multiple points here. But that was a pretty good shot there by the Swiss team to force this situation a little bit more. Evidence as to why these two teams are in the final with great shooting like that.
Ser ut som hvis jeg treffer halvtreff
And the brain matter out there working too.
Så sitter vi skråfrys fra innsida på shotten.
The beauty of our game, right? It's chess on ice, and you could do this, or you can do that, or you can do this, and what will the other player do, our team do, if you do this, or if you do that? And so, yeah, the thought process happens fairly quickly. For those people at home that don't play as much, it's an opportunity to look at different angles and look at different possibilities and what the advantages or disadvantage of each choice.
Torger's taking a shot at this yellow, and he wants to roll over. I don't think they'll be able to move anything on the back one. Trying to squeeze through here was the point. Swiss team still
that one
shot.
Out. So again, the debate as to how to deal with this situation. You've got 2 Norwegian rocks in play, and the red rock in front of the yellow. So very important for de Cruz to try to sit 2 here and try to force Team Ulsrud to have to take 1.
Non, c'est juste un shot après. Mais de toute façon, il y aura quelque chose ouvert. Je pense. Ok. T'as pas trop quoi? Oui, mais c'est beaucoup plus difficile. Bah.
So in this case, they're talking about which shot is harder. They've come up with two options, and the front end suggesting something, and Benoit spoke about choosing the easier of the two choices.
So we've got an in off the red one here, trying to. Does he want to move his yellow one?
Yeah, I think he's. So they're talking about it. If they just kick it enough, then they've got a good angle. And what they're talking about is the red in front of that yellow. The next play, Ulsrud's angles might not be favorable for Thomas. So if they move it a little bit, then I guess another way to explain it might be to think for people back home that rock behind the red one acts like a guard also. Although it's not a guard in front protecting the rock, it's a guard in back, in essence, protecting the red rock, making it difficult for the other team to remove the front red. So the terminology wouldn't be a guard, but it acts the same way as a guard.
Benoit Schwartz, first rock for him here in the third end. Gets the hit, rolls a bit, and moves that.
Got a little bit of a pocket situation. So we'll see if they were right with their angles.
Well, the only rock that they're worried about would be the yellow one that is in the forefoot, because it's shot.
They might be able to play a quiet double to try to lay two, but the question is, would they leave a double back themselves? So I think that's what they're talking about. Maybe they can tap this forward and try to lay shot and cause grief for the Cruz to try to remove.
The best they could do probably is only lie one. Red one.
Enten så må du spille med litt fart og så skli av, eller så må du spille med nese og sitte igjen her.
Hvis vi kommer til nesa, ser det ikke ut som han har noe dobbel.
Nei, det ser ut som det er det beste, synes jeg, og da er det risk for noe å gå der
You
også.
speak Norwegian, Armin?
No.
When you host these events, you need a bunch of different commentators so you can hear what they're talking.
Translator technology is not quite there yet. I'm sure it'll come.
Oh, it's close.
Just feed it through the box and it all comes out in
Du
English.
spiller vant kanskje, eller i hvert fall hack.
Yep.
I'm sure that technology is almost there.
Well, I could give a plug for a company that I purchased something through, but I'm not going to do that because it's not the time or place. But yeah, there's some software out there that already translates, and you put an earpiece in and you speak your language and they hear it in theirs, and they speak their language and you hear it in yours.
It's
So
a universal translator from Star Trek.
yeah, Star Trek, exactly.
Yeah, the great thing about curling, of course, all the players are mic'd, and we can not only watch what they're doing, we can actually hear what they're thinking, and even in many cases live their emotions, which makes this such a great TV sport.
Så, ja, harder!
Ooh, just get past the guard.
And there's that soft double.
And he's sitting two. I didn't think that was possible.
There's the soft double and land two.
Like you said, that looked tougher on TV, didn't it?
Yeah.
The double's probably there. Two going the other way. Straight back. Just be careful of the jam on the back.
Yeah, there's a couple jam possibilities here for sure.
Je vois juste tout, ouais.
You can just see all of it, he said.
Je
So
vais vite, hein.
Needs to get by that guard fairly tight, I would think.
Avec une pêche, même un poil à l'extérieur, ça sort.
Ça devrait
To the
sortir, ouais.
normal takeout weight, at least.
even a touch on the outside, he says it'll still go. So
Okay, he's got to move that rock, go a long way across the house, though, right?
yeah, he'll have some pretty good weight.
Indication by the broom being very close to the rock that it's going to come with a bit of speed. Benoit Schwartz, his last rock here, trying to cut down the Norwegians. Just past the guard, gets one. That's got a long way to roll. Paul, look at the spin on that. We'll carry it right out.
Does it spin back? Nope.
Wow,
What a shot.
Wow. We're seeing some fine shot making here early on in this final Button Masters.
Absolutely great display of curling here by both teams. Putting a little bit of pressure and getting a couple errors, but making some big shots to turn things around. So 1 minute it looks good for one team, next second it's good for the other, and here's a forced situation. So the tie game situation where Norway had the hammer at the beginning of the game, now we're tied, and well, if he makes the shot, and the Cruz will have hammer on even ends.
Ja. 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 Hardsa! Hardsa!
They're sweeping.
Hardsa, kom igjen!
They're sweeping.
Hard!
You're gonna have to work to keep this one.
Helt inn.
Good sweeping.
Well done. Score of 1 for the Norwegians. That'll tie this game up after 3 ends of play at 3 apiece here at the Baden Masters in Switzerland.
Ok. Bra omgang. Han har egentlig spilt ganske bra.
Vi har spilt bra. De har spilt bra og hatt litt flyt nå. Okay, ja.
Vi får puste for Rasmussen litt nå. De holder oss veldig
De er gode til å koste også, bare de.
Bra inn da, første, ikke sant?
Warming up.
Yeah, it's the very last one. Everybody is happy about that.
Ganske god plass. Så nærmest.
Dere må jobbe helt inn.
Så nærmest.
Dere må jobbe helt inn.
Foran Stein, Thomas. Bra. Kom igjen da. Ja, ok, det er greit, da kan du bare slipp den. Ta den opp til linja. Bra.
Bien joué de côté. Bien up. 2.
Det er syke sig akkurat.
Hey, we're in the 4th end. Baden Masters live coverage of the final. 2 top teams here this weekend. Cruz against Ulsrud.
Bien vitesse. Var den som plukka et par ganger på torget.
So we played three really interesting ends, a lot in play. And the interesting part of this situation is that Team de Cruz started without hammer, and now they have hammer and even ends. So I guess a moral victory already, knowing that you've played these 3 ends and now you've managed to regain control of the hammer on an even end.
That's right. Yep.
Linja bra.
3 ends just to get the hammer back.
Yep.
Linja ser fin ut.
And very entertaining. 3 ends at that.
You can't anticipate this not to continue because both teams need to fight for that control and maintain it.
Kjør nå. Kjør nå.
Stop. Faut te venir moins vite.
Bra satt over.
Moitié, relais là.
I have never seen so many fans at a curling event.
And by fans, you mean fans that move warm air against your skin and not fans in the word curling fans.
Yeah.
Although you have a good crowd tonight or this afternoon as well.
Yeah. Well, you get to see the best play. You've got to take advantage of it. It's not like probably the highest quality event in this canton, in this province, Swiss province. World
Vi går inn
champions,
innenfra, eller?
Olympic medalists and champions, and European medalists, everything that's got a name in curling. Just missing is the Canadians, but only to some extent because there's been a number of Canadians behind the glass Ian Tetley around here coaching one of the Scottish teams. Canadian Sherry Librant coaching the Dutch, so a lot of good Canadian presence anywhere you go with curling anyways.
I think normally you get a couple Canadian, or at least one Canadian team at your event.
Yeah, Goshu's are here on a regular basis, and we've seen a number of other teams come.
I would probably venture to guess that a couple factors this year. Number one, the Olympic trials in our country, points are important, how they get them, and periodization of their season. So meaning which events and when they want to peak, and so there's so much science behind the game now that, you know, wasn't necessarily looked at before. And the other reason is probably the fact that the Canadian dollar is weaker next to your franc, so
that makes the prize money that much more interesting.
It does, but the expenses are higher. The flight over is more expensive, and you can hold one weekend and maybe bring down your expenses and maybe hit 2 events for the price of one.
Points here, though, are quite significant. They usually come away with a fair amount of points if you win this event.
Yeah, there's lots of good teams. It's a good point maker for sure.
Nice draw behind the guard there. Swiss front end not missing too much so far. I like about Christopher that hat is always in a different position. He never wears it the same way. Gonna wreck on the guard. But that's not so bad either. Opens it up and plugs up the middle a little more. Swiss have the hammer.
So like I was telling you earlier, you know, you get a miss out of an early position. In this case, the second stone for Ulsrud. And if Peter does a good job here, then Team Ulsrud is chasing Team de Cruz right from the get-go. So it was, although it was an acceptable miss, it still is going to put more pressure on Team Ulsrud.
Peter de Cruz trying to draw around the center guards. Get a second shot into the house. This is looking wide and a little bit long too.
Yeah, they're talking it's long here for sure. So they're trying.
As it comes down.
They were calling back rings and then it slowed down on them. So good and bad. They were trying to avoid the double off the other one. In the meantime, they left an easier hit and roll behind cover. So I think there's an opportunity or an example of how important communication is in our game. So I think that word is used fairly freely, but there's an example of how you have to continue to communicate. And although they mentioned that it was long, they didn't keep mentioning, and then they didn't really pick up on Benoit saying that it was okay behind T-line to avoid this situation. So a breakdown in communication provides for some errors at times, and there's a situation where we can see one.
And the reason you'd like to be behind the T-line here is to avoid the hit and roll in the front, leave that rock in front of the forefoot, I guess.
Well, yeah, and like I said, that last end where we use that, not necessarily calling it a guard, but that rock behind T-line provides opportunity for a rock in front of it to protect that one in front. So anything in front of the T-line doesn't provide that.
And that rolled? Did it roll enough?
I don't think so. He's calling hack so he can see some.
Yeah, there you go. Rolls a little bit more, it's perfect.
Yep, they're running if he rolls a little bit more. Important to hold the shooter here. Margin of error is a little lower.
Claudia Pets. First rock here in the fourth end. I've been watching too much baseball all summer. Keep wanting to call it innings instead of innings. Same thing.
So he loses his shooter and he leaves them in the rings.
Yeah.
So I guess if we fast forward and play all these rocks and everyone makes everything perfect, now Ulsrud's advantage is that he may be able to force the Cruz to take one. Still 6 rocks to come, but that's what I see right now.
Ulsrud very comfortable with the play being in the middle of the sheet.
Yeah, still a good chance at stealing also because those center guards are in a good place. Is I'm not sure Pet's his first name.
Claudio.
Yeah, is he related to
Brother? Yep.
That's
Alina Pets.
Alina, the world champion.
Yep. Curls out of this club. That's a Baden team.
So there's a big family name in the area for curling.
Certainly started one. Yep.
Fantastic.
There we go.
Front of the tee. Pretty good shot.
It's probably the first end where we haven't seen too many yellow rocks in play.
Well, they had the opportunity to lay 2 and he hit and rolled out. And it doesn't take much this game, you know. And that's the emotional roller coaster as a player. I mean, you know that, but I mean, I lived it for a very long time.
My emotions were always down.
You're on the ice and you're feeling good. You're feeling like you're in control of an end, and all of a sudden one mistake, bang bang, and all of a sudden you're now struggling to get out of the hole that you've created with a small error, right? So it's an emotional roller coaster for sure. You're up, you're down, you're up, you're down,
and you're totally exhausted by the end of the weekend.
Yeah, and you do this week in, week out. These guys do this week in, week out, and it's taxing for sure.
That's why physical fitness has become such a big factor nowadays. We saw a great double moving those 2 center guards out of there and rolling away. That wasn't that easy. Nicely done. Yeah, physical fitness has certainly become a huge factor in the last 10, 15 years. And for that reason too, physical fitness relates to mental fitness. Directly related.
Yeah, we had trainers back then. We were working that angle too. We were quietly doing that.
Very quietly.
Yeah. Our off seasons were built very similar to what we see now. And you know, you'd look at a guy like Randy, and you know, you wouldn't think, but you know, the skip. We've done studies and research on the skip, and heart rate can go up to red line for a skip standing there not doing anything, just with adrenaline facing a difficult situation or a big shot
or watching a miss like this. That'll drive the pulse rate up too. This one really slides in too close. Easy pickings here. But that was the skip himself.
Yeah.
Of course, Cruz looking for everything here, maybe even get the triple. I'm certainly looking at it. I don't know if it's there. But if it's there, I'm sure they'll make an attempt at it.
I was thinking 2/3 of that hit, the 2/3 of that front stone, and it's going that way anyway, so we don't have the luxury of the angle on it, but
well,
actually we
you
kind
can
of
see it right here. We got a really good angle on it.
Yeah.
Have to look out the window.
Yeah, he might actually clip it.
Yeah. Still has to get enough energy on the back one to move it out the back.
Yeah, again, if you've got Eden's power game, you're looking at it and saying it's a lot easier, but
well, this is Benoit Schwartz is quite a good little thrower here. He can. He doesn't look that big, but he can hum it. No, just hits it too full, huh? Or not? Yeah. Too full, I guess.
So when everyone makes their shots after that error, like I said, you should end up with that forced situation, and
You called it. Thomas Ulsrud, last rock here. Of course, you want to try avoid the double and roll out. Setting up the double to and roll out.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure there's no. Even if the double's there, that he would.
You'd have to
the
make
shooter
sure
stays, right?
Yeah, you'd have to make darn sure that that it was all there. Otherwise, it's probably not worth the risk reward to play that,
Så hold rent.
unless it's pretty guaranteed blank.
Godt så.
Probably see a nose hit here. We might have drawn back in the day. Dave's strength was his finesse game. Very similar to Ulsrud.
Går og tar forskudd, det.
So we like to think that you have half the rings open because nothing's on the center line, touching the center line. So you basically, I guess on a hit like this, you actually have to be fairly precise. Whereas on that draw that we're throwing, you probably have maybe 6 feet to place the rock and still be shot. A good 5 feet anyway, or 4.5 feet anyway.
And that's a score of 1 for Cruz here in the fourth to take a 4-3 lead over Ulsrud.
Noen rosenord.
Les deux côtés quand on joue le out. Le out, vraiment.
Slår vi.
Søk kost.
Søk kost, perfekt.
Det er min rosende beskjed.
Blank. Blank eller 7. Drar den inn, så slår vi.
Bare ned.
Non, c'est sûr. C'est proche.
Deux, trois.
Green, c'est bien. 2, 3. Green, c'est bon.
Mission accomplished. Hey, last end. Both teams got kind of what they had to get, and both teams kind of half-assed, or I shouldn't say that word. Sorry. Somewhat satisfied with what they had to do there.
Cruz leading 4-3. Ulsrud here in the final of the Baden Masters. I'm with Marcel Rock here. For those of you that may not know, which is hard to believe who Marcel Rock is, of course a lot of Canadians will, but we do have a lot of young viewers. You're not the youngest anymore, so Marcel playing many years with Randy Furby, David Nedwin, Scott Pfeiffer, who was sparing in Basel last April. Managed to see him again. I hadn't seen him for a while. It was nice to see him again. Two-time world champion, 4-time Brier champion. That's your record.
Three-time world champion, 4-time Brier champion.
I didn't want to take that one away from you. Of course, Randy Furby, 6-time Brier champion.
Assurez de la sortie.
4-time world champion.
4-time world champion. Yeah.
It's not bad.
Nah.
It's not bad.
Axe, juste axe.
Must have been easy in those days.
C'est la sorte juste.
Nettoyez.
C'est limite, hein.
Nettoyez.
Ligne, vitesse, bien.
It's, you know, we often said when we were winning that it'll mean a lot more when we get older and can think back and look back at how difficult it was, right? And all the sacrifices that we did, just like these players. And I don't know that people at home realize how much of a sacrifice it is. You know, unfortunately, these aren't footballers, you know, so...
that makes the sacrifice that much bigger when you're not getting the big bucks, right?
It's definitely, you know, there is some good money
Ja.
you know, curling,
Yeah.
but really, it's
Yeah.
it's not a simple thing, and it's a difficult sacrifice
Frulet.
on not just
Yeah,
these
frulet.
players, but their families, and you know, I think Eden said he's got a quiet year this year. He's only going to be away 170 days. Last year he was away 230 days. So, you know, you put that into perspective, the amount of time that they're away from their home, their lives, their families, their friends, their, you know, and it's like I said, you're not making the big paycheck, so it's really a passion and a love for the game.
That's right. That shows you what these players actually think of their sport. That's heartening.
Ouais. Allez, Claudio.
And I wonder how many professional players in the higher paid sports where the money is more of a motivation. But things are looking up. Our sport is
Merci, Sam.
becoming more and more mainstream, more and more television, bigger audiences, and I'm sure the sponsors will also come on board soon. I mean, curling is just getting some fantastic numbers around the world.
Ja.
It is a great TV sport, and there's not another sport I think that you can get so close to the players and see what's happening and live it and feel it.
Bra spill, så. Kjempespill.
Neuf.
Yeah, it's
Lite is fra bra satt, altså.
you know, everyone from the volunteers at these events to the sponsors, the organizers, the ice makers, you know, it takes a lot of people involved to put on these events, and there's a lot more of these events now around the world, and so with that provides a lot more opportunity for more teams to try to generate a little bit of income to really not pay themselves, but really to fund their season. You know, the local sponsors help out in putting these events on, and these players, you know, we couldn't have done it when we were playing without that support,
Bra satt.
and you see these jerseys that these people are wearing.
Well, I remember your team, probably one of the first teams where the jersey came out with all sorts of. You had some at that time was some great sponsoring, I believe, compared to some of the teams you were really well supported.
Yeah, we actually took Carl Edwards. He's a NASCAR race car driver.
Yep.
We took his design of his outfit that he wears for his race crew, and we tried to sell as many opportunities for sponsors as we could to.
You guys are surely the forerunners in what we're seeing here today.
And again, like I said, I'm showcasing why these players need such support. It's an expensive proposition to, you know, we would typically look at a funding model of, say, on average 5,000 Canadian every weekend, and that generally didn't include food or you know, beverages or anything like that. So that was your entry fee, that was your hotels, and that was your airline or transportation for 4 people.
Hold on, what was now?
Well, you've got Curling Champions Tour Baden Masters here, which is hotel, 2 nights hotel is provided for the team right now, and all the food is provided. So
Those are examples
organizers
again.
are trying to do a lot of that.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying, right? Without the local support, making these events even more lucrative for the teams, because you know, that's not the norm.
Still have to get here too. No, that's not the norm. That's right. We do have some events that are providing those, and we're working on getting more. We had an event in Korea last year with the women. That was flights were paid, hotels were paid, and the prize money was pretty nice. Unfortunately, you got to really find the sponsors to put that on, and it's not that easy.
No, it's a struggle, right? The economy is good, and the economy is bad, and the economy is good, and the economy is bad, and the game keeps going, right? So you find a lot of long-time sponsors, and sometimes you lose some, and you have to bring on some new ones. And
well, if you look around here, there's a lot of local sponsoring going on. A lot of good support, and certainly Sislos, who's the biggest sponsor of this event. Certainly appreciate their
Go,
input.
go. Allez, allez, allez.
Well,
Allez, allez.
I guess days gone past my former training from our team. We always made sure we did good things, and we're very, very thankful for sponsors. And even now, I'm finding a way to say thank you to your sponsors, because the players do really appreciate it. All the efforts and everything done. So back to the game here. We've got a situation where a couple of hit and rolls rolling out to the outside, and then we got that error from Thomas's team. So now this center guard comes into play. So you had simple shots, routine shots, where you could see 3/4 and in this case even wide open, and never kept the shooter. And now we get an opportunity to force the one and maybe even get a steal.
Where Schwartz being asked to draw around this center guard, try and bury it in the top of the forefoot. Weight seems to be good. Starting to curl now. Line looks real good too. This looks like a pretty shot. Finishes up a little more. Not sure if it's fully covered or
Yeah, I think he's
2/3 of it.
I think it's the same shot they've been playing at. I think he's going to have to try it.
Just needed to finish a little more.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where if he's a foot lighter, they might start sweeping a touch sooner and maybe get a little more curl.
It'll slow down about now. Start slowing down in that slide path too.
A little bit.
Pretty aware of that. Breakdown. Won't snap finish. Still a difficult shot here.
What are your thoughts as an ice maker regarding the new material and going away from these aggressive
Well,
broom heads?
obviously, especially in conditions like we've had here all weekend, the less aggressive material certainly keeps the pebble up and makes the playing surface a lot better for the extent of the game. So, absolutely, from conditions point, that's certainly far better.
Well, I'm old enough to say that we were kind of at the front line of these synthetic materials coming out. A funny story with our team was one of the conditions of me playing with Team Furby was that I got to sweep with my hair broom. Only because at that time, ice makers pebble the water. Oh, look at this interesting situation now.
Force is on.
Force is on, and now a really good chance at a steal also. Anyways, as I was saying, the water that you guys were using back then wasn't of the same quality that you guys use now. So when the synthetic materials, even the non-aggressive synthetic materials came out, we were finding in late ends the pebble was wearing off.
Yes.
And so you'd have rocks suddenly stopping and as if it just hit a piece of debris and stopped. So we called that fudging, and I really didn't enjoy sweeping that, and I really didn't enjoy throwing in that. So I thought it was important.
Well, the synthetic will stick to that ice, obviously, make it that much tougher to sweep.
Yeah, but I just felt it was important to hold up and maintain the ice surface. So I thought the hair broom, at least one hair broom on our team, would half that effect on damaging the ice. And now with the better water that you guys use, the pebble is stronger and can withstand a little bit more. But over the last couple of years, these new materials have been breaking it down as well. So
that rock again didn't finish at the end. I bet if they did it third time, they'd probably try it from the other side. So Ulsrud forced here to draw. In turn, needs full 4 foot with his last rock here in the 5th end, just to tie it up. What you got to really be aware now in the game is as you further you go out, the quicker it'll run, because that ice, that pebble's still standing up nice and fresh out there, and could be a little speedier than in the middle.
Yeah, you know, it's this sometimes comes across as a difficult shot, and it is, right? I'm not going to say it isn't, but these skips nowadays, with the brushing and the strength of the brushers and the fitness and everything, he really doesn't have 4 feet to work with here. He probably has it on your ice here. In this spot, he probably has 12 feet to work with to put that within that 4 foot area. So the quality of this ice and quality of the sweepers and this shot is a lot more routine than it used to be.
And it certainly is for Mr. Ulsrud. Puts it right in the middle for a score of 1. That'll tie up the game at 4 apiece after 5 ends of play.
Ja da, men da har du ganske mye, da har du ganske snaut å stoppe på. Jeg mener sånn det er jo ikke noe med Håvard. Det var jo bare at hvis dere kunne, så kunne koste nærmest.
Den siden hadde stått en stund, da får du køl. Men jeg tror det har veldig mye å si for nå. Nå har vi spilt masse den siden der har stått ganske lenge nå.
Det er ingen andre drå som har køla som bruker.
Ja, det er lenge siden vi har spilt første. Siden har stått en stund. Da får du få mer køl.
Ok.
Hvis du står her, så ser du at det er spilt mindre med deg siste. Ja, men du får litt mer bite. Full 8.
Ja. Bite 8, ok, ja.
Det er ikke dermed sagt at det er lurt å koste bakken. Vi lever med den. Vi lever godt med en tight goal. På linja ser den fin ut.
Foran Stein, Thomas. Bra.
Tikk og lokk.
Se opp. Vi skal ha en bite. Linja er veldig bra.
Kom igjen, så full 8.
Bit av senter i hvert fall. Bra kosta, gutter.
Ja. Det er egentlig beviset på at du ikke klarer å karve. Du holdt den rett selv når det gikk sånn. Forlenger bukken. Nei, just den, du.
Han tok jeg døren.
Hvorfor gleden av...
Tror jeg, da.
Ja.
So we've got a tied-up game here in the final, and as we expected, this is a close one. We're in the 6th end. Both teams fighting for control. And some excellent shot making so far. And I wouldn't be surprised if we had an extra end here. Actually, the Baden Masters final often has an extra end. So we're really pleased with the quality of play that's been at this event for so many years. And of course, that only happens with the quality of the teams coming here.
Well, I guess if your prediction is correct, then that little white symbol there right below the 6th end mark on your TV screen called the hammer is really going to be what we're fighting for here. Either to have a tied-up game playing the 8th end where you can use that last rock to win this game, or maintain that hammer in the extra end where you can use your last rock to win this game. So it'll be an interesting couple ends for sure here, and like you said, the way these two teams are playing, it should come right down to the wire. 2 undefeated teams, somebody has to lose.
At some point, yeah. Well, the fans certainly haven't lost. They've been treated to some great curling this weekend, and it was really nice to see you here with your team. I think it's the first time we've had a Chinese team at the Baden Masters, so that was a great addition. And then having one so prominent, 4th place at the Sochi Games, and what a great week you guys had there. They were fun to watch that week.
Yeah,
you guys became the crowd favorites, I think. There are certainly the fans that were watching.
you know, to give you another little interesting piece.
That rock has to go back again. It's a free guard zone infraction.
Yep.
So the opposing skip gets to put it back where he thought it was.
Høy gard, eller?
Nei, det var helt perfekt guard.
At the Sochi Olympics, do you have any guesses as to how many viewers in China watched
Yeah, I'm sure
the
it was in the
semifinal
millions. I have
and
no
the,
idea. But exact numbers I don't know. You're going to tell me now.
Yeah, I will. I just like getting people to guess because
spiller han dommeren for gratis, da?
100 million or something like that.
yeah, it was 765 million.
765
Vent, eller
million
dra på en til.
Wow.
that turned their TVs on during that semi-final against Canada, and the time change, right? I mean, people were getting up to do this, so it gives you an idea of, you know.
So you're recognized in any street that you walk around downtown?
I wouldn't say that, but at the Beijing World Championships, there were a couple opportunities where it was pretty strange. But you know, I've always been a student of the game, and I've always wanted to give back to the game that's given me so much. So one of the biggest reasons I went to work with the Chinese was because I think our sport needs to be healthy in more than 3 or 4 countries. Right, if you look at the women's, this one looks bad.
Breaking the law.
If you look at that sliding path, or did he underthrow it, or what? We've seen a couple misses here.
Ah, ja.
Guess we'll keep an eye out on things.
Yeah.
Out to press the face.
But anyways, if you look at the women's hockey in the Olympics, for an example, you've got a couple teams that are always, and then you've got you've got a couple other
I believe
countries.
Switzerland won one game and won the bronze or something.
Yeah,
like that.
so I mean, you have the Swedish women's team that play a little bit, and Swiss, but for the most part, not competitive. So in our game, in order to keep it healthy, I feel that I felt it was important to give back to these other countries. Is that right behind the guard?
Yep. Well, it might be peeking out the other side, but there's 2 guards out front, 2 yellow guards out in front of that red one. And yes, it is covered.
Kommer det en til her nå, så det...
Yes, that's that's always been my philosophy. Hence the Curling Champions Tour development and a lot of the stuff that we've been doing here in Europe. We also believe, just as you stated there, the best thing for this sport is to be healthy all over the world, and as much as being a Canadian, as much as I'd hate to say it, though, every time you don't see Canada win, it's good for the sport. So
I'm not sure that it's
changed now, though. Of course, Canada's not winning as regular, better than maybe the men's side, but certainly not winning as regularly anymore.
Well, and nor should they when you look at the Olympic Games. You've got Team Ulsrud that's going to have gone to 4 cycles of Olympic Games, and his eyes aren't going to be as big as saucers walking into the opening ceremonies. Same thing with Team Eden, same thing with Team Scotland, same thing with Team Japan, same thing with Team China, and then the Canadian team could be someone that's brand new to the whole scene. So
that's right. That's certainly a.
So when you take that into perspective, if you look at the next 50 years, if the Canadians have as many victories as they do at the World Championships, I'd be surprised because you're not going to get a team that's going to represent 4 cycles and have experience of the big stage of the Olympic. And what I took back from the Olympics to give back to the Canadians is that really it's just a bonspiel. It's the big hype of the Olympics and that, but if you treat it like a bonspiel, then the Canadians have to have a better. But it's the hype around it and the magnitude of the event that you never get to see till you go to one.
But wouldn't you agree with that even in Canada, you're looking at the same small group of top teams?
Yeah, well, it
doesn't change that much.
It's because of the amount of time required to compete at the high level against the high teams, and not everybody has the jobs that allow them the time to do that, and not everyone's wanting to make the sacrifices required to do that.
Nice clearing there.
We're into a little bit of a simple end here, and that's probably why we're not talking about the game. It happens sometimes. You've got Team Ulsrud that's very, very happy here getting a blank out of this situation because it gives the hammer to Team de Cruz in an uneven end. So if they could force the 1 in the 7th, then they'd have the hammer playing 8. Or they could possibly score their 2 to win. So it's cat and mouse kind of thing, and as soon as the opportunity comes to do it, then your team's kind of happy to do it. I'm not sure if people knew, but I was coaching Team Home in the last 2 years, or officially last year, but I worked with them for 8 weekends the year before as well. And so it's a big sacrifice for me to have accepted this opportunity to work with my Chinese teams again. I gave up on, the #1 team ranked in the world in the women's game. The possibility of going to an Olympic Games with a maple leaf. My family, I'm away from home a lot. But as I said, the reason I went the first time and the reason I'm back is because I think that the sport needs to be healthy everywhere, and I see the potential for China as a market.
Absolutely.
In Canada, we've chased south of the border for a market for the bigger. The bigger
market is expanding. Positive indications there for sure.
Yeah, with the Continental Cup being held in Las Vegas and some of that stuff being really interesting as well. But the potential of the Asian countries to maybe work at that, to develop there as well, I think it's all positive.
China, and I guess you're coming on board at the right time here again with your team, because China not qualifying at the last Worlds, men's and women's, have their work cut out for them to get to that Olympics, and certainly you've got 2 tough other Asian countries to get past.
Yeah, absolutely,
the
Japan,
Koreans and the Japanese,
absolutely.
2 very strong countries.
Yep, the Pacific Rim is not an easy championship to win anymore. I think not that long ago it was fairly easy to predict the couple teams that were going to get through, but that's not so much the case anymore, and evidence that there's positive things happening in the game on those fronts.
Are you doing any work with the women also?
I'm actually, my title would be national team coach, overlooking all of it, but with focus on men's teams. So if I have time, I can help out the ladies coach or the mixed.
Betty's coming back again, so that's she was at the European Masters. So
yep, Betty's back. Her lead is back. We call her Jenny. She's back, and then a couple of younger players coming on.
Exciting times coming up in curling in the next few years. Lots changing, lots developing. We're working lots on developing new events in Asia. Some great stuff in the pipeline. We'll be announcing in the future.
Yeah, nice.
And the sweeper's way off this one here. Got a nose hit.
Could actually hit and roll, and maybe if you're really lucky, nuzzle up against that yellow. But I don't think he's going to take too much risk. Yeah, see, he's even going to go away from it because that little rock on the side there could actually cause a force. Although highly unlikely, there's still an opportunity. So.
You consider this end, both teams taking a little bit of a mental break and just throwing some simple stuff just to regenerate and folks bear down for the next?
Yes and no. I think once the double peel is made and once that cleared shot is, that power game, once that clearing occurs, then there's not much to generate anything. So I guess Yes, to answer your question, but not as a result of choice. I think more as a result of execution of a certain shot. At least in my opinion.
Rent.
Which we'll take gladly. That's why you're here.
Oh. Bra. Godt så. Hardere.
So we got a clearing attempt for a blank end. As I suggested, we're pushing the hammer forward unless there's something that happens with this last rock.
So that makes the extra end even more.
And like I said, we'll be interestingly following that little white hammer there and how they're going to use it. Because I think what we're going to see Ulsrud team do is press pretty hard here, so that they can try to get that force. If they don't, I mean, I guess it's a game of control, and if you don't have the control of that hammer at the right time, it's not a good thing.
Benoit Schwartz clearing off that last Norwegian counter, thereby blanking the end. And no change in the score. It's 4-4 after 6 ends of play.
C'est le même plan que plusieurs.
Tighte først, eller?
J'éviterai quand même assez fortement le force.
Ouais, bien sûr. Si on veut vers 0, c'est parfait.
Moi, je pense qu'ils mettent 2 assez tranquille, le dernier.
Ouais, bien sûr. Ouais, c'est clair. Mais je dis,
Thomas fikk litt køl her, men han kommer til å bli sopp.
Ja.
si on arrive dans une situation
Ja, mer er det jeg sier. Kan gå andre veien hvis du vil, da. Det er rettere.
Ouais. Genre un vraiment beau setup.
Tror også det er lettere også å vite når du skal dra etterpå.
À côté. Ils viennent derrière, on frise, puis après on
Plass, plass. Plass.
Hva? Straks jeg sa det.
Hvis dere kan.
Ja, c'est ça. Ça sent les bottes. Ouais.
Hvis dere kan.
Salut.
Full of good ideas.
I got a couple of good ideas after the game here. Something to do with oiling the vocal cords.
Well, certainly warm enough here. What is it, 30 or 29 degrees, 30 degrees today?
Outside, it's a lot hotter than that even. So we've been well above, in the mid-30s all the last 3-4 days. It's not the hottest temperatures I've made ice in, but
It's right up there.
it's right up there.
So as I said, you're seeing a plate to the side here simply because Schwartz wants to try to force a blank here so he can maintain that hammer in the 8th end. And you're going to see Ulsrud take some chances, because if he doesn't, I guess if everyone makes their shots from here till the end, Cruz will finish off by placing his last stone nearest to the button and win the money, or the bigger money.
And there is a difference between 11,000 and 8,000. That's 3,000 francs, and I don't know what that is Canadian. 4,000 or 5,000 total.
Linja er grei.
I think you're
11,000 is 15,000 anyways.
Thomas nærmest.
Canadian.
Thomas nærmest.
Hold rent, da! Hold rent! Hold rent! Hold rent!
You know, there's some other reasons that some of the teams might not be coming. You don't get too many places in Canada that have ice right now. You have a couple of centers in
So
Canada.
they're all afraid, or what?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
in all honesty, you know, if you send a couple Canadian teams here that haven't seen ice, and I know the Chinese have been on ice for a month. I know Japan's been on ice for at least that. I know you said here in Switzerland they've had ice for.
Well, this ice has been in here since June.
So you have situations where a lot of these teams have had opportunity to be on ice and train, and it wasn't that long ago we'd come here, and this was you know, if it was this time of the year, we'd be dusting off the shoes as we tied them up to walk out on the ice.
Having said that, Brad has Gushu's come here and won this in 2009 and 2013.
Right.
So he's done well. But
Right.
there have been other teams coming here that
Ja.
have quickly
Ta et linje.
taken the door and
Linje er bra.
enjoyed some of the sights
Well,
outside.
and I'm not going to lie,
Plass.
the 3 game in a day would have
Ok,
killed
linje er
us
bra.
because,
Linje er perfekt.
as I said,
Lim med på,
you know,
Thomas.
if you're not on the
Leave it
ice and
on.
sweeping, I don't care how much you hit the gym,
Ja, tar du balans.
the muscles that you
Oh, sure,
use are.
absolutely. And
So from a front end point of view, it would have been really, really, really hard on the body to play 3 games in a
Ça va être
day.
difficile
And,
d'avoir le bon angle, mais
well, I think all the teams struggle with the 3 games a day. You see that on Friday for sure.
Non, la première.
I mean, you may practice and throw a lot, but playing
Okay.
3 games a day is a mental aspect to it too.
C'est-
And,
non, j'aime bien faire juste une.
focusing for
Ça, c'est
6
bien.
hours or more in a day, that is taxing, and you do see at the end of the Friday evening probably the most mistakes in some of these games, or even last night. There were some, of course, last night a lot of decisions were over.
It was interesting. We had one of our best. We'd had our best game of the weekend against Eden, and it was the 3rd game. It was their 2nd game of the day, our 3rd.
Right.
And you know, again, credit to better science, better training,
Ligger dere den, eller?
better everything. They were able to put on quite a display of curling and went right to the last rock. And you know, Eden made an amazing double takeout and stuck for 2 in the 5th end that gave them control of the game, and we tried to get it back, never got an opportunity. And so you look back at this game here, and we don't know who the winner is, but I can tell you from a player's perspective, the losing team will be thinking about 1 or 2 opportunities that were missed in this game to take control of the game for either side.
And it won't be more than 1 or 2 though.
Right, because there haven't
hasn't
been
been that many.
right.
Så,
Yeah, not a lot of mistakes from either team here. Just small ones maybe.
And our game against the
linje er bra nå.
Cruz, same
90%,
thing,
vi
right?
køler
I
litt
mean,
over.
maybe
Vi køler litt over. Vi må over hogg, da.
wow.
Rett over.
They don't.
Over og av.
Sometimes I think
Over og av.
they're not putting enough rotation on that.
There we go. No problem.
Yeah, no problem.
Je me dis en fait que si on n'essaye pas le double,
That's doesn't get much longer
Tu veux
guards
essayer
than that.
Tout cassé là.
genre on ose.
So we do have a interesting situation here.
Det var fint, altså.
Il y a beaucoup de risques, pas tellement.
Elle est pas terrible,
Swiss
cette
are
garde.
laying shot.
So they're talking about risk and reward right now with
Helt annet spor det er ikke, da.
with what they're doing, because they're saying maybe the double and maybe clear everything.
Drive back there.
Ça peut être chaud pour eux ici.
Der hvor sliden har gått.
Or are they talking the longer?
Facile de jouer.
Well, they were talking both.
Okay. But there is a straight drive back, red onto red. But the danger of jamming is
Si on fait que ça,
Ça.
that's a long distance there between those 2 shots.
Non, mais ça barre. Hein.
Telling på henne.
J'aime pas du tout Freeze maintenant.
c'est ça. Avec lui. Ça va quand même curler un peu, mais là,
Il y a un risque, hein, mais.
So I don't like sharing too much
Ok.
because I'm coaching.
ça va être
But I would turn around and look at this end if I was coaching, and I would suggest that your idea of, or the idea of coming to the side to try to make something easy happen, isn't going to work very well most of the time. Because now he's looking at a double run with risk of his rock catching one of these other ones.
Yep.
So he knew right from the get-go, or at least I knew, so I'm assuming they know, right from the get-go that Ulsrud is going to have to press in this end. So you get into situations where now you're working around a couple rocks.
You're referring to the yellow rock on
The
the,
s-
on
the
the 12
second-
foot on the left hand side
the
that they
second
put there
stone of the
early.
end.
Yep,
Or
Frysen på egen
second
hånd, da.
stone of the end.
You put anything back there at some point, you got to
Slå der,
consider
like,
that it may be
Trouble.
trouble.
Kant i kant.
So you're
Men
hoping
Ulrius
you can
flott
draw the
av
play
alt.
away from center, but it's never going to happen. So it's
So you would have put that where?
well, I for sure we wouldn't have gone to the side. We'd have come around.
Get the second one in there.
Yeah, we know that they're playing, and they're going to play to the center. If you put another one there, it's going to take a couple of shots to move it. Everything's there, And
Får det ikke hele igjen. Det er halvåpen.
yeah,
Da er det skikkelig
that
trøbbel etterpå.
side one rarely comes into play, and for the most part, it causes them more grief.
Ja, vi må det da.
So I don't speak Norwegian, but they're talking about how we can force them to one. He's going over to the side and saying, if we hit that, we can lay second and third. We've got the guards. We've got, you know, so
Nei, vi gjør ikke det. Det var dårlig.
Don't want to force him into 3 or anything like that.
Ja. Ja, det var det også, da. Ja, det gjør det.
beautiful game, isn't it?
Certainly is.
Fryser litt over nesa, det går...
What's the other team thinking? What are they gonna do?
Ja, out time. Det gjør ikke noe, vi kan jo rulle litt også, da.
I think Ben knows exactly what he wants to do.
Yep.
So he's thinking, get on with it.
Bare vann.
I guess the decision is how hard does Norway want to press, right? How aggressive do they want to be?
That's what I say. You don't want to force him into 3. Right?
Hard.
Prise. Dernière prise comme ça. Prise tape.
Si tu tapes bien, il y a tout qui part, je pense.
Rulla litt langt inn.
Ah, il y a tout qui part, ok. Ouais.
Kanskje ikke så gærent.
Pas mal, ça.
Rulla litt mindre.
I think they think that everything can go if they hit this right.
They might be right. I think the angles are certainly there.
Yeah, I think they're favorable. So then let's assume that you hit it just off nose and remove
Pour tout
those 3
sortir, c'est
rocks.
presque 2 tiers, non?
They're going to have a red stone on the left-hand side. There's still
Moi,
a
je trouve cette garde,
tight
faut pas qu'elle
corner
reste dans la
guard.
maison. Hein. Faut vraiment qu'elle sorte. Hein.
Ouais, tout à fait.
So he's trying to kill absolutely everything running this back.
Claudio Pets coming with some heat.
Ouais. Oui.
Must be close to whatever they're doing. That one. That other than moving the guard off the front didn't change much
C'est ça
else.
que le faire rouler
It
là-bas.
changed the angles on that front
Så
red
ruller
one.
gang. Så ruller bak corneren. Tror du ikke det? Det skal jo bare fortsette.
Ça va.
Now you could lie 3, I guess.
Yeah, you're
That certainly helps the force issue.
got a couple rocks here to come to try to make a couple doubles to get out of the end or generate that deuce with your last three rocks.
Hva ser du fra nå med
We're going
fart?
to have a raised takeout here by
Det er viktig at vi får
Torger.
spredd egga riktig.
Vi er nødt til å rulle med shooteren ditt over, må vi ikke det?
Tenk på sånn litt.
You hit it right, you could roll behind the guard with both of them.
Nei, men jeg tror det er lite is.
Question is, do you want to bunch them?
Huh?
The question is, do you want to bunch them all together?
Lined up behind the guard. Yeah, right?
Yeah, if they're perfect, but with the power game that people have today,
Yeah.
sending that yellow into everything.
Rett bak corneren.
Er det vanlig du har der?
I'm wondering whether or not that back rock that's in play right now will serve as that guard situation and give the Cruz his chance to get that
Vær
deuce.
med! Wow, 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 wow.
Prise.
Oh, he's got a hit and roll into the pocket here now, behind the guard.
So there's that. If he does that,
Moi, j'ai
there's
enlevé
that
ça.
back rock
Allez,
that's
Yeah, that's come into play.
coming in to possibly haunt
ça va curler, hein.
the
Well, that's
Ulsrud.
why the Swiss put it there in the first place.
Normal, sur une
Yeah,
penalty, ce sera bien.
exactly. They knew something I didn't.
Apparently.
Ok, allez.
I didn't know, like I said, I didn't understand Thomas, but I'm not sure that they would have wanted to roll. Nonetheless, we're going to have to see some good shooting to finish out this end, one way or the other.
So it looks like a hit and roll attempt here. Claudio Pat's throwing his last rock. This could be a pretty big shot if he nails this.
So you got a team like this with players from around here and players from different parts of Switzerland.
You want to redo?
Non, t'es plombé là.
Doesn't look like that bad a roll. It's hard to see the angle. Need to see that from the front. It's buried, but you could freeze to it. The problem is behind the tee line. You were saying?
With teams from different parts of Switzerland, how often do you see them coming together and training here if you've had ice since June?
These guys are here once, twice a week for sure, and once their club gets going, they'll be
both.
Yeah, so a lot of team training going on in Baden. Baden's located very central Switzerland, easy access from the eastern part, Zurich and St. Gallen area. And of course, from Basel, Bern area, it's all relative. It's within an hour and a half. You're here, so it's quite a good spot to get to.
Yeah, and you're right on the highway there.
The main highway, yeah. And now, of course, a lot of clubs starting to put their ice in now, or maybe waiting till beginning of next week before they get going.
They have so many nice curling clubs in your country.
Well, there has been a misnomer for many years that the ice is straight in Europe. Certainly not the case. Hasn't been the case in the last 15 years in Switzerland. I think we've got really good conditions. A lot of good ice makers too around now. Stefan Rötlisberger and Bern is quite good, and
well known.
Mike Reed and Bert Beal. There's a lot of good guys around in Switzerland now. Here's a good shot.
Skulle vært litt kortere.
Bra.
Ganske lett fra utsida, må vi fryse.
Ja, men da fryser vi en gang til.
It's got the double off there in the middle, but problem is you leave him the same shot again. So I think if you've got to try to generate your deuce, you got to try to come in there and
freeze.
Yeah.
Maybe bump it a bit.
You could if your angle's right, but.
Non, cacher shot, c'est.
Pour être shot, on doit être là. Là, on
Well,
est
they're committed to points now. I think there's too many rocks in play to get rid of all these.
Si c'est pas parfait, peut-être qu'on a une pierre pour deux.
Amazing how this changes, eh? So, back to my point in the beginning with the second stone.
Yeah, we're stuck playing on that back rock.
We put it there, or the Cruz put it there in hopes of trying to get a easy, clean end to try to get a chance to generate that blank. And very early on, we saw that wasn't going to happen. So he's going to play this double. Ulsrud going to replace. If they make their shots from here on in. Is that what he's trying to do?
I don't know. There is a possibility to move a few rocks here.
So he's going to throw some heat then?
Well, just flew out of that hack.
Maybe he's trying to move a bunch here.
Can certainly get a bunch. 1, 2, 3.
There you go. How good is that? So now how aggressive is Ulsrud going to be? Is he going to freeze? Is he going to freeze? That little white hammer, right? What a heck of a shot, eh? And you called it.
Nobody heard that, just you. Well, here's the discussion. Freeze or not.
Jeg tror vi må det, altså. Ja, tightere i hvert fall.
Then it's got to be a perfectly frozen lock.
Han får i hvert fall teste.
Vraiment, tu sais.
He's getting
Anything off the nose,
Yeah.
and Benoit's smacking it.
he's getting the peel anyway, right?
Right.
You're giving him a free peel anyway. So if you play this, you have a chance at making it absolutely perfect and not giving him that. So
Eller farta var det riktig, da.
and if you don't have hammer coming home. So
Er det bedre å rulle, eller?
Rullen er ikke der, tror jeg. Ja, rullen er jo her, den.
Hvorfor er det så dumt?
Det er bedre å holde på frysen.
Ja, frysen gir du bare 2 hvis du ikke gjør det. Ikke fornøyd
Yeah,
med det.
he's going for the freeze. I think if he's not perfectly welded on the center,
Er vi enige om hvor vi skal, eller legger
which would probably
Sikte back
maybe force
button.
Benoit to draw.
if he wasn't what? Sorry.
If he's not welded right to
To
the
stand
middle,
mellom.
Benoit could obviously split it.
Well, I guess the question is, if what else do you do, right? I mean, they talked about maybe coming around that corner and giving the opportunity at a run back for 2, or even a quad come around for 2, and maybe giving him that opportunity to play that and get your deuce in the 8th and go in the extra and steal isn't that bad.
Nope.
And I think those were probably the discussions that they had. In this case, what else do you do other than the freeze? So you can nose hit and he's got a peel. Like, there's not much else you can do. So you may as well take a try at it.
Sure.
If you weld it on perfectly, it doesn't matter how hard you throw it. It
Deres.
might not go.
Linja er bra. Linja er bra.
And something else for players at home
Sånn,
or
nærmest
people
dere.
that don't follow. The running
nærmest.
surface, or the running bands, not the
Sånn,
running
nærmest.
surface, but the
Opp,
striking
opp.
bands
Se
on
opp,
these
se opp, se
stones
opp.
uh,
Ja, kom igjen,
in
nå må
different
du gå, nå må du gå.
buildings,
Her
or
er det,
some are
her er det,
lively, some
her er det,
aren't.
her er det, her er det, her er det, her er det.
So now he's got an opportunity of
You
2.
take
huh?
you take that too, which, as I said, might not be the end of the world anyway.
No, we saw that in the last semi-final. Ulsrud Edin.
So he's
Edin
taking his 2, and
ended up giving up the 1 and the 7 and had the hammer, made the 2 in the 8th, but then did lose it to Ulsrud with the final rock. But Ulsrud did have him make a nice shot.
well, and the nice thing of this now is Ulsrud's looking at this and going, okay, well, he may get his deuce, but we also have a chance at a mistake. Whereas before, like you said, if you weld it on and it isn't absolutely perfect, then it's a fairly easy blank. So one slight error here, and Ulsrud is ecstatic.
Benoit Schwartz trying to pick this red one out and
Fort pour la toucher, fort, 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 fort.
hold his shooter.
Trying to get it to curl, working it.
He needs to hold the shooter.
He
or he's-
doesn't. There it is.
There's a mistake.
There
right
it is. There it is.
Force of 1 for de Cruz.
So in Canada, we would talk about this. I'm going to just add this right now. In Canada, we talk about this as age and treachery, getting youth and exuberance.
Yeah. Wanted a little too much there.
Jeg tror
Tactique que notre jeu, on continue à
Deux center bien.
lesson learn, da. Det er at det ikke er så jævla lett å gjemme seg rundt på innhold her.
center, avoir des bons angles, et ils vont avoir de la peine.
Hæ?
Allez,
C'était un peu vite, je pense.
Jeg tror det. Men på slutten her så kører du ikke mye på avtaledragningen heller. Altså. Det er ikke jævlig finish, for å si det. Han drar vel inn, og så får vi legge inn på den tida vi pleier. Eller har du noen treff? Uansett, liksom?
Well, after a very entertaining and interesting 7th end, and I think that was probably the first mistake after making a fantastic first shot. Bit of a mistake there by Benoit Schwartz. Gave up the steal, and now Ulsrud has the hammer in the 8th end, down 1, and in a pretty nice position to be able to win this game.
So I guess avoid the 2 if you're yellow and try to grab the 2 if you're red. And if not, then the red team's going to say, okay, we'll take our 1 and we'll try to steal in the extra. So really Ulsrud has 2 ends to try to win this game. And the Cruz has to play fairly well this end to prevent that, and then have the extra end hammer.
Ikke noe særlig lenger enn her, tror jeg. Så. Jeg tror det er vanskelig å komme rundt. Bra da.
Hey, textbook opening here. Top 4 foot corner guards. Now Valentin Tunner. Probably come down on top of his own, I would think.
He's wearing Claudio's shirt, eh?
Yes, that is Valentin Tunner. That is not Claudio Pesce. I'm not sure why Valentin is wearing Pesce's shirt. Maybe it's in the laundry.
Left it at home.
Forgot. Well, that wouldn't be surprising with Valentin. I've had some experiences over the last years. I'm losing and forgetting things. Leaving Beijing, we're halfway to the airport at 3 in the morning, and Valentin realizes he left his passport in the hotel room, which was a challenge. That was a long way from the downtown Beijing to the airport.
Så på slutten. Så kjør nå. Nå så. Her da. Thomas, så tar du den, Thomas. Ta den, Thomas. Bra spill. Litt til.
Tu veux venir direct derrière?
Bra spill.
Nice shot.
Ouais.
Yeah, moves that off the 4 foot.
C'est pas dangereux ça pour l'instant.
OK.
So full steal here for Dick Cruz.
Well, he's
No
not,
guts, no glory.
No, not yet. You've got to. There's rocks in play, and you only need 1 shot to get that force. So sometimes people see that as well. You kind of get a, like our situation of a 5-ender. We give it up, but there were 4 opportunities, or 3 for sure, where you could have easily eliminated a bunch of those stones, and just the mistakes were made on the wrong side. So it doesn't take many rocks around to try to generate or force something. Another nice shot. Yeah.
Puffe, bare bakan 4.
Er det høl i huet og rønne og rulle corner da?
Ja. Puffe bakan 4 bare. Puffe
Tette butikken.
bakan 4. Setter jo dobbelt etterpå. Frys er helt greit, altså. Kanskje vi bare skal spille frys?
The freeze is okay too, I believe, if I was translating. Do you guys
Sounds
like the
good to me.
freeze? Yeah.
Rent. Ja. Ja. Wow. 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 Ja. Whoa.
It's a little warm.
Yep, bouncing, but
Bra.
kicked
Had
it
to
behind T,
sweep
so
it. Looked like it was going to wreck.
yeah.
Bah.
So now, this is the key shot here to decide if we're going
Go
to
for
work,
steal.
or we're going to work, or
Si on est en plein.
we're going to try to play
c'est très
safe.
Moi, j'aime pas le draw en tout cas. J'aime bien enlever ça là.
Viens voir alors.
So Peter likes removing it, and Ben was saying, come and see then, because he's not sure about it.
Det er jo ganske smart med de kostene de har.
Le double, c'est trop difficile l'angle aussi.
The double, the angle's hard.
De har perfeksjonert det.
I think Peter would probably be the more conservative of
Ça.
Litt i rommet her, da.
the 2.
On en a besoin du temps.
And we're going, I don't care. I'll make whatever you leave me for the last one.
Well, we hope that's what he's thinking, but maybe the old psychological thing there of that miss that he had last end might creep into the old.
And
Même rouler trop loin, j'aime bien.
knowing Benoit,
Ah ouais.
J'aime bien l'enlever quand même.
I don't think that plays a factor.
It's not
Ouais.
there.
No,
Pas énorme.
no,
Non.
not a second
Sur
thought.
2 tiers.
Well,
Already
he's-
forgotten about that shot.
Yeah, I don't know. It
Normal.
sticks with you in a subconscious way sometimes, where you think it isn't, and
This is a very special young man. His thought process is quite unique. I believe he was a diver,
swimming.
swimming diver. So the mental
Part of his
aspects
game is great.
This kid brings to the
Daniel! Daniel! Tout le long!
quite unique.
Ouais!
Claudio, oui, fort.
Han ruller ikke innover nå.
Ouais, ouais!
Oh. Oh. Pour là-bas.
It's a nice shot.
C'était vraiment vite. Hein.
Ja, men da
Er det mulig å spille Skal vi spille myk og
C'est arrivé très fort.
Hæ?
ganske stort høl? Spille på shotten og bare
So you got an interesting situation here. You got a skip and a third asking front end what to do, and it's an example again of communication and four minds maybe being better than two or one, and seeing things and kind of figuring out the patterns that they see, because curling is truly a game of patterns.
Ja, men det kommer jo ikke opp der.
Patterns occur and
Nei, den
reoccur.
der
Time in,
sneppe
time
øyre, men får i
out.
hvert fall rulla oppå der, er greit, altså. Spiller en
Sometimes I wonder about, you've seen this pattern so many times and you still need to discuss it to death.
Yeah, well, it's because there's
Treffer du den
so
der
many
først, så
factors
spiller
at
du
play
den
with the
veien.
pattern, who you're playing against, what you want him to throw, what turn you
Jeg
want
tror
him
du må ha
to
litt
throw,
fart, for
what
det kommer
shot you want
liksom,
him
vi
to
kan ikke gå
throw.
alt, synes jeg.
What the ice conditions are,
Ice
how the rocks
conditions,
are,
yeah.
Den er
what
nesten på linja,
kind
så
of
det er
form
ikke
are you
sikkert
in
du får så
today?
mye.
So, yeah, there's so many factors that
What
come
time of
into
day is it? What
Ja, men
is
jeg
it, a
tror
full
kanskje du
moon
gjør
or
det likevel, da.
Ja.
Kanskje du dytter den litt, og så
Ja.
dytter den oppå.
But there are absolutely there's a ton of factors. It's
Ja,
not
spiller pil,
that's
eller 11 eller noe sånt.
we compare curling to
Treffer
chess. The difference
tre
is that
kvart. 60 til
chess only
70.
has one variation.
yeah,
There's 1,000
Yeah.
variations here.
yeah, there's a lot of outside factors, right, in moving this little piece on the chessboard.
Inn, ikke sant?
What position does Christopher Slay have his hat in today? Yesterday it was on backwards.
Ja. Hard! Hard, hard, hard! Hard, hard, hard! Hard, hard, hard! Hard, 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 hard!
Det er bra spill.
Bra.
That's
Very
a good
nice.
shot.
Yeah.
You'll see probably coming off their own.
Skriv bak 10 på jobb.
Yeah, getting rid of both reds. So they're in a good position if they can keep their shooter right in front.
Absolutely.
Bon, si
Yeah.
on prend une moitié, c'est parfait parce qu'on reste assez haut. Ok?
And I think you're at that point where you may actually see Norway try to run and clean up and take their one and take their chances in the extra.
Especially if this is executed here the way.
If he hits it a little bit, little bit thin and pushes behind the tee line with this shooter, then the game is still a possibility for the deuce.
Claudia Pats, big shot here.
Ouais. Oui!
So, jump right away. Might have been a little tight.
Trying to hold it.
Très fort, très fort, très fort. Toujours, toujours. Val,
Play
Val,
ball.
Val, roule,
That
roule.
sounds very good.
Très foul.
Ah.
Sweep very hard.
Okay. Wow.
So there's an error. No, they're still not out of the woods for the deuce or the steal, but
Not a very well played shot by Claudia. Got it a little going. Rolled it a bit.
Ja, ja, kanskje. Ikke sikkert det er så dumt. Ja, men da får du fort toppen av den, da, gjør du ikke det?
well, I'll say two teams deserving of being in the finals, both undefeated. An excellent game for television and an excellent final. Right down to the wire here. Some great shots. Only really 2 or 3 mistakes, and it'll be an interesting finish here. You're still predicting the extra end?
Put me on the spot.
Da må du rulle.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll stick by it.
Okay.
We got anything on it?
You mean more than the liquid? What did you call it?
I'm fine with the,
What did you call it?
the lubrication for the vocal
lubrication for
cords.
the vocal cords.
Jeg tror kanskje det er lurt å av, ja.
No, I'll just take those freebies and run.
Oh, okay. It's like taking candy from a baby.
Thomas.
I'm a sure bet kind of guy.
Don't bet with suckers or buy them at the store.
Okay.
Det er du som er jævlig, da. Det virker som du ikke har lyst til å tenke over det.
Ja, jeg synes kjappen virker greit, ja, men det er jo, har jo litt lite å gå på, kanskje.
Så det virker du litt, altså.
So, without even understanding, we know that they're talking not this shot. They're not talking about the next shot. They're talking about 2 or 3 shots ahead of this one as to what might be left. And that's that whole chess connection again, right?
And just to set it up again, Cruz is up 1 without the hammer, so Ulsrud looking to make 2 in this end. Best case. Worst case, he has to make sure he makes 1. He jams it a little bit.
Well, that'll
It
take
does
some.
move him off the forefoot.
Yeah, it'll take some heat off them for sure. Now he has the full forefoot on his last shot. If he keeps that half open.
His rock's fully buried in the forefoot.
Yep.
Det var egentlig litt... Ja, det er egentlig nesten bedre å
C'est un peu psycho, non? Quoique, non.
So this shot here, to me, is the one that says, okay, we got to make this pretty well, because if not, that deuce is going to be fairly, it'll be there. So you don't have to be perfect here, but you have to be very, very careful.
Would you attempt the raise double? Or
Well, I don't.
freeze in here?
I guess again, you look at who's playing it. Maybe Sweden's already thrown this rock.
Cruz might need that center guard, eh?
He may, yeah, he may. It's looking more like it than it did a minute ago.
In turn draw, try and freeze to the top of that red one.
Yeah, you can't bounce off.
Try and force
Can't
Ulsrud
come
into
short.
1, and then the extra end would be on. So Claudio's got to make this shot.
À vous les gars, ligne c'est bon. À 10. Ça chinois. Ligne parfaite. Allez, beaucoup moins. Oui, alors on amène.
Line's perfect. It's light.
Peut-être 4. Oui.
3-4 they're calling.
Toujours les gars.
It needs the legs.
Juste balle pour la ligne.
Coming down into the sliding path here. It's just coming up way short. The plot thickens.
Yep.
No, not Claudio's best end.
Well, 3 in a row now, right? So
Yep, 3 misses in a row. Yeah.
that's that little subconscious dude sitting in the back of your head talking stuff. And it's having been there so many times, I know you train and you say all the right things and you can, but man, oh man, doesn't matter. You don't even think he's in there, and he's in there.
Ja, men den der blir jo
Oh,
nesten
yeah.
lettere, da.
Little guy in the 2 shoulders. The
Yeah.
little guy.
Yep, Murphy's law there.
Murphy's Law.
Little guy sitting on your shoulder.
Prøv her. Helt ned bak der. Helt ned bak der.
What does that tell you?
I don't know. Looks like he's tired.
Fristapper på gul kan vi gjøre på neste. Den er for tidlig nå.
Hopefully he doesn't tell me anything. He's just
Tired or stressed? Both?
Valentine Tanner. Had a little kneel in the corner there.
Det er egentlig en line shot.
Maybe he's hungry.
Maybe praying to his gods.
The curling gods.
The curling gods. We could all use those once in a while.
Yes.
Han har ikke spilt her på lenge. Jeg tror det blir kul her.
Interesting conversation there with the Cruz. Peter and Benoit talking, and they're already talking about the next few shots and possibilities.
Må gå for fart! Må gå fart!
Oh, he's wrecked on the guard. So that hole is plugged. Not that there was much of a shot there.
I didn't see the call.
No, I didn't quite get it either. I think it just didn't curl enough for them, and it just wrecked on the guard. I think they were just trying to draw a second one or another one in.
Were they coming to the house or were they plugging?
No, I think they.
Because they weren't. Yeah,
I think they were with that kind of weight. They were trying to come around. That hit that rock pretty full. So
Non, mais c'est nose. Ça reste devant.
I think now
Ouais, ça suffit,
you
je pense.
don't have much of a choice. You have to run something back. Question is which one.
Well, you take that center one and you're basically hitting it on the nose and leaving center guard staggered. You take the side one off center and you're sending it in at a little bit of an angle and you open it. So I guess it depends how you.
Disons, si on est shot,
Ah, c'est sûr que si on est là, il peut plus enlever la jaune.
So
si
they're
ça
talking
se
about
shot
it
là-dessus, mais faut
if
regarder
they're
ça,
shot.
c'est tellement proche.
Ah, mais là, on peut pas savoir.
They could draw there, but
Sinon, c'est venir
does
en
that do anything for them?
Well, I guess there's options, right?
Yeah,
Put that right there and they yeah, Norway needs two, and they've shrunk their hole. They've got rid of their hole, so they've got a crazy tap on the outside run.
No.
So if you come in here and do
Non, mais
something,
c'est sûr, si on
then
peut être dans le pied, ça c'est beaucoup plus facile.
then is Norway gonna have to run? I mean, Norway.
Fortunate part here for the Swiss is that those two short guards are their rocks.
Yes, yes.
I think it's a big factor in what happens here. Maybe leave that for the last rock
Donc tu veux pas être là.
if you need it.
Tu veux pas être là.
Si elle vient parfaite, ouais.
Donc c'est ça le but. Hit.
Alors, non, ouais.
Ok.
Mais là, non. Surtout pas là derrière.
D'accord.
So where is perfect is what they're talking. Here's okay, here no.
Very important for the players and the sweepers to know exactly where this rock is supposed to be. This is all part of the communication.
Non, c'est vrai, faut pas être derrière
Well,
la
and
tire.
again,
Mais là,
for me, it's not even about shot rock, right? You don't need to be first shot. You got to prevent red from getting two. That's your first objective here. And then if something plays out properly, then you may have an opportunity to promote that stone to get shot rock.
And more Schwartz.
Last thing he wants to do is come heavy and have Norway follow down and sit on him. And,
Allez, Val, elle est
Do
bien
they
à
have the wheels?
Allez.
Yeah, it looks the way it looks like it's okay. Need to get past the guard.
Wow, 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 wow.
Oh, just past it. Oh, this is looking pretty nice.
Allez, Val.
He's not shot, but he's there.
yeah.
Might have left it shorter, actually. Would have been better. Almost took it too far.
Kind of what I was saying, right? If
Yeah.
Norge ligger da.
you're happy with the extra end, you don't want to give him anything for.
Well, he's a little higher. He's got a better angle on that.
So he's playing a run here, try to run
Når
triple.
du treffer dem der, så er det ikke så bra, da.
Let's see how well he's buried.
Hvis vi tar den clean, hvordan i huet
Thomas is standing in the way, unfortunately. We can't see this.
Ruller inn på den bak.
Try to look between.
Let's get the tiger stars. There we go. Thank you very much. That's got a pretty good cover on that.
Got a paper
Jeg tror
that
kanskje du må
center
spille
guard,
den, da. Du
hasn't
må
he?
på
Jeg
her
tror
nå.
også det. Jeg tror du må gjøre helt.
Og lavt.
Doesn't want to raise any one of those yellow ones.
Ja, altså, hvis
Playing
du,
with
så lenge
fire
du
there.
treffer hår innside, til og med kjapp, så kan hende du sitter... Ja. Nå har du håpet at du ikke treffer utsida og tar med den da, ikke sant?
Skal vi gjøre den rullen nå?
Nei, jeg gir oss
It's
ikke.
looking more and more like an extra end.
Jeg tror det.
I think there's still a couple things that have to happen.
Ouais, il connaît la tendance, quoi.
Ja, ja.
So he's running back. The yellow?
Ja,
I'll tell you in a second what I think.
Okay, good.
vi trenger ikke å smyge.
Leading from behind.
Hindsight's 50-50, isn't it?
Nei, nei.
That's right.
That's the benefit of being behind the glass now. I get to play and make all the shots.
Kjapp hjelper bra.
Never miss.
Tactics always look different through the end of the beer glass.
Yeah.
Jeg tror vi bare vi har ikke noe annet. Vi må gå så godt.
Thomas Ulsrud.
Playing the run back.
Yep. And I think he'd like to hit right in the crotch of those two rocks, right into the pocket.
I think he just misses.
That might work.
Just misses that front one on the right, and I think he might get all 3 yellow.
Okay.
You can't afford to hit it on the other side.
All right. We'll see in a second. And it's fair amount of speed. Oh,
Go, Pete, go!
Jen, but that's not so bad. Open that up.
Oh,
No, that's right.
can you get rid of both red?
Bra spill.
Probably not. So here you're gonna make it really, really hard.
Ingen Bryce.
Really hard for Thomas to score as 1. So I'm not so sure about your extra end call.
Tell you after this shot.
Yeah. Exactly. It's such a, I don't know how many times I've said it on the ice during my career playing nearly 30 years. It just changes on a dime, He gets by that guard, and this whole thing is totally different. It's like we put this textbook down and picked up another one open to a different book altogether, and it happens. Never mind once or twice in a game. It happens sometimes 3-4 times in one end, where you just completely change the whole dynamic of the end.
And sometimes very unpredictable.
Yeah.
Or mostly unpredictable. Yeah. Makes this game such a great game.
Yep.
And you're never out of it until you're out of it.
Yeah.
I would have said the others, but I can't say that.
I think when we look at Thomas's throw there, I was a little concerned because they weren't sweeping, and he couldn't afford to send it back onto his own, right? So I thought maybe he had thrown it incorrectly, but then once it started, and he missed it the right way if he was going to miss it, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Still has a chance for two here.
Yeah, there's action.
And so it's critical here. Of course, last rock of the Cruz team coming up here. So
we had many opportunities where you look at this rock and you say, okay. Some people at home will be saying, well, just hit it, make it go away. You'll be sitting 1, 2, maybe 3. I'm not sure about the back yellow, but they'll just say, well, remove it. So it isn't just a question of removing it. Now it's a question of where can we sit where red can't score?
that's right.
Where do we sit where we can't give up to? So now it's very precise.
It's also very difficult to visualize.
Right. You've got to try.
Because it could be an inch this way, an inch that way, makes the world of difference.
Right. So the visualization, good point, is seeing, imagining where you're placing this rock so that they throw, and where can you put it so that they can't win, they can't score. And that exists right now.
It's not until all the rocks come to a stop that you actually know what you're looking at. And Benoit Schwartz with his last rock takes out the red one. He gets all of them. What a shot.
And that takes care of your the deuce for Ulsrud.
And my extra end is looking really good now.
It is. It's not an easy shot though.
Nope. The crowd sure enjoyed that. Last rock by Benoit Schwartz.
Yep.
Of course, a partisan Swiss crowd. And you see the replay. I didn't think this was possible.
It was my first impression there of playing both, but I thought they had talked about the angles being favorable if you leave it.
Thanks for the replay, guys. It looked really good. Yeah, it needed to come off the red one first. That worked. I didn't see that one. Again, visualizing something like that.
Right. So I think nose hit.
Will we have an extra end, or will this be the game? Thomas Ulsrud, 8th end, last rock. Needs at least one to force the extra.
Whoa.
And the question is the nose hit good enough, or does he need to roll? Oh, it gets
You're
a
a mind
double, and
reader.
there he goes.
Extra and hey,
That beer is tasting good. Tasted it
Ta
already.
Abfart.
Extra end, and that's great. You know, we're having a very entertaining game here, and it's why shouldn't it not continue here at the Baden Masters?
Kjør chaud per, la greier.
Ikke dra det midt i banen. Da.
Chaud.
Ja, men ille for han å komme etter
Les
også,
saft un petit peu moins vite que ce qu'on a
Du
vu
skal
jusqu'à
få,
maintenant.
prøve å få opp noen
Parce qu'elle
garer.
rebondit beaucoup les pieds.
Franchement,
Ja,
ouais.
derfor.
Juste 8-9, ça suffit. Hein? Avec les coups et dirige.
Ikke som er en ny bite-isen. I går så ble den så blank for det.
Match mais on ne va pas plus vite comme tu avais dit, comme compositeur.
That's actually a good idea. That's actually a
Ganske
good
nære
idea.
perfekt. Da.
For here?
Ganske nære perfekt den første.
Yeah.
Gå på hjelpen.
Nei, jeg vet ikke, Thomas. Skal du være med, eller? Vi har bare en avfart. Ja.
Høye først, eller?
Curling Champions Tour,
Han er kjent for å spille knallharde ting.
Baden Masters,
Så jeg tror det er
Og høye først, da.
and very fitting game like this that it does go the extra end, and of course, I called it.
mind
Må
reader.
ikke treffe senterlinja heller, liksom.
Nei, får av senter er kanskje greit.
Actually, I have to go back statistically and see how many extra ends there's been in the final in the Baden Masters. I believe almost every one, if I can remember
Well,
correctly,
there, see,
gone.
you're
Or it's just they've
making
just been great
bets,
games.
making bets with someone that are sure, taking advantage of me.
I'm going to enjoy that.
The
Lubrication for the vocal cords.
for people that aren't
Cold one.
for people that aren't here watching, it's something that they do. I think in Switzerland, it's not a common practice in North America, but they pushed all the stones back to the far end, and they're playing the rocks back towards the glass for the spectators to have the near view. We don't really do that back home, and sometimes we wish we did, and sometimes we wish we couldn't. Because if you look at if you look at your scoreboard, which ends were the other teams more comfortable with, and based on that last end, I'm not sure that it's an advantage or disadvantage. There are times when that shows up. There are times on certain ices where it shows up. In this case, I don't think there's any problem.
We believe here in Baden that the ice is so even and so good, and the rocks are so even, so good that it doesn't matter which way you're playing or on what sheet you're playing.
Do the people know you're the ice maker? No, it is good ice, and you know what? It's a great concept for the fans. I absolutely love it.
I think if one team would complain about it, they wouldn't do it.
Right, and we probably would have been one of the teams that might have
Yeah,
at
but
times.
you guys were special anyway.
We had the discussions when we came and saw this the first time. It was quite interesting because there were a couple times where we were like, yeah, we're all for it because we've just scored coming this way, and we'd scored every time coming this way, and we're like, we never scored going that way, so naturally it was a good thing. Here's this tick shot that nowadays is,
Pretty routine almost, isn't it?
especially with those brooms.
Shot.
With that aggressive material broom to make that curl, it became very, very routine.
I don't think the brooms have been that big of an effect this weekend.
I tend to think that there's lots of shots that were
You
made
think?
both for our team and against our team that
Alright.
wouldn't have been.
Alright.
There's some that were in the olden days for sure misses, and And
Linja er grei. Litt vide.
yeah, they're definitely effective.
Ja, helt ned. Bak 10 så er det greit.
Like we mentioned earlier,
Langt dere får nå.
unfortunately not all the
For
teams
double,
have been able to acquire the brooms. Not all have sponsors.
Litt til.
And I know the manufacturers
Greit da.
tried very hard to get many of the teams equipped
En plein, c'est assez
quickly
bien.
as possible, but this tournament is very early in the
En
season.
plein, on
And
mord
that
le 8 pieds seulement.
decision wasn't that long ago, and the material had to be produced and had to be made, and the brooms had to be made, and so
T'aimes bien genre venir vite et au pire
we're
ça fait
just
le dos?
caught a little early here.
Ah, mais on a
And
plus de
I think
confiance
the
comme
only
ça
fair
que ça, je
thing
pense
to
quand même.
do
On peut
was
vraiment jouer vitesse contrôlée.
not all
Ah mais le truc
equipped,
c'est que
and
si
we
on roule là, lui il met une center guard, c'est
finish
chiant
up
pour
with the
enlever,
rules
c'est
that we
chiant.
ended
Ouais,
up
je
with
suis vrai,
last
c'est vrai.
season.
Non, c'est vrai.
J'aime bien juste clearing, c'est
And
complètement
next
ouvert.
Champions
Franchement,
Tour
il y a
event
pas
is at the
D'accord,
end of
ok.
September in
Moitié, c'est
Stockholm,
moche,
and
hein?
there'll
Ouais, on
be
tirait 2 tiers, mais
this topic hopefully will be
Mute.
c'est une
mute
moitié, ouais, une
as
grosse moitié.
at an end. And of course, like you said earlier, as an ice maker, I'm perfectly happy with material that's not ripping the pebble off the
Right.
four ends.
I guess if every shot was made
Ouais, pour toucher,
perfectly
ouais.
here, you're gonna have Team de Cruz having half the sheet open and that little round hole in the middle there called the button area open for him to draw.
Ha det der, for der
But
nå.
once they make the tick shot, it becomes difficult. And really now, Team Ulsrud, in my opinion, is simply going to try to get De Cruz to look at the most difficult shot possible,
Linja er
and
ganske
possibly
bra. Thomas.
an opportunity to have Team De Cruz
Ja,
contemplate
tight,
a
tight.
takeout versus a
tight.
draw.
Vi er forbi.
Is this going to stop in time?
Bra. Perfekt.
Oh, that looked like it picked right at the end.
Kering.
I predict this game will be over after this end. You could take me up on that?
Dine er ekstra ille. Så kommer
Yeah, chances are.
Guard. Center guard.
Although it is in your program that if the extra end doesn't
Dra han litt over linja bare.
solve the tie, that they go to a last shot draw. So you don't play
Not
it.
for the final, I don't think.
Ouais, ouais, ouais.
Så ikke ha beina ansvar.
I don't think that's
That
valid in the playoffs.
that would. I might be wrong.
C'est pas trop dangereux ça.
Elle est juste trop loin.
I think that's just valid during the round robin.
Ok.
Does it say that in here?
litt av senter, da, så ikke han har sjansen til å doble.
Anyways, it's not going to happen. Or is it? Yeah.
Turgen air guard. Throw up a center guard.
Vi må på innsida, altså. Det er greit, tror jeg. Hold clean. Hold clean.
Although going to a draw at the end, when you think about it, we have penalty shooting in hockey, we have penalty shooting in
Ouais, je pensais plutôt.
football,
Non, je regarde juste l'angle pour faire peut-être.
which is
Okay.
very exciting too.
Yeah.
Other sports do that.
Oui. Quoi? Option. Oui. Ouais.
The Dutch team, their draw shot at the end of this cleared some
Great shot.
granite out of the way, didn't it?
Great shot.
The Dutch team, after the entire weekend, their draw shot numbers were 0.
Yeah, nice.
Nei, det kommer til å
Do
køle.
you
Kommer til å
have
køle.
the same format for all of your events here in
Center.
Switzerland? Is it round robin format, or do you go to a
Linja, bra,
triple
kom
for
igjen.
some of the
Hold litt
events?
tightere.
Oh, Swiss Cup is triple, like you've played it before.
Hard.
Burn Ladies
Hard,
is
litt
triple.
til.
The Basel Women's is a triple knockout.
Moitié.
Champry Masters is a group play. 6 teams, 4
Ja,
groups.
Det som er greia nå, da. Hvis det blir blank her, så tror jeg vi vinner.
There are advantages and disadvantages. The group play is obviously better for televising games, you know who's playing who at what time. Triple knockout, you never know who's playing.
Yep.
And we are trying to market this sport.
Den veien du skal gå på din siste. skal du gå
Also
på
triple
garden.
knockouts.
For det er
You know, we have a condensed week as it is, and triple knockouts always take 2 or
Jeg tror
3
vi skal dra hit
extra
etterpå.
draws. Makes it that much more difficult. We had
Og da drar vi samme veien som vi
6
skal
draws on,
At du blir kjent med deg. Spørsmålet er
or
om det er
6
lettere for
draws
oss å
on
komme.
Friday. That was 3 games, you know. And if you go to Basel, 8 sheets, triple knockout, 32 teams, you get 4 games on Saturday. And that last game on Saturday is a C final. The ice is tired, the teams are tired, and you usually don't get a high quality game in there. So
På innsida av den
it's
her.
not a. I'm not a big fan of that. I don't know why we need to play 3-4 games. If you look at a tennis tournament, you go play 1 game and then you go home. Of course, they're getting lots of money.
Yeah, it's different. There's no comparison.
Not yet.
I'm not sure, you know, when you look at, I think there's some expenses
Håvard må
here
gå i tilfelle.
in terms of the last shot draw being too short a sample size to, you know, in a larger round robin you eliminate the worst last shot draw because it could be a pick. Something pulls up short and fudges like we had one, and we're looking at 111 versus 64 centimeters on one that kind of pulls up, and then if there's a 3-way tie, we get eliminated on that. Well, on a short sample size, I understand the reason.
I think you can expand the samples of that, and I think the you know, the Worlds have been doing that with their throwing too on the either side stuff.
Yeah.
Benoit Schwartz here, trying to remove this guard.
Vi må dra inn.
It's not looking too bad for de Cruz. Rock positioning here not necessarily in Ulsrud's favor.
So again, here you're trying to put, as I said a long time ago, you're Team Ulsrud, you're trying to put this shot in a situation where you give Schwartz
Han må bare garde den
a
på
little
innsida,
bit
og
of
så er
a
det
contemplation, or try to get him to contemplate whether or not he should hit or draw. It wouldn't matter where you put this thing, we're already getting ready to
Hvis du
draw
hører meg, så.
button. But some skips aren't quite as comfortable as others making that.
Tror full
So
8 er greit, altså.
I know they're talking about going there.
Håvard,
I might be
Tror full 8
considered.
er ikke så gærent, altså.
I might consider
Nei,
going
guys.
kind of more
White 8 er best.
angle, a
Try
little
to take
bit,
the draw, cut the draw down a bit
cut the
more.
draw size down a little bit
Litt
more,
avhengig av
and,
linja
and
vår
make
da,
him
ikke sant?
throw a takeout. And who knows? Maybe he jams, or maybe he rolls out, or maybe in this case they're going a little wider, trying to make sure that the kid draws. And he's certainly capable of making everything, right? So it's a question of how you perceive your opponent and how you feel you have the best opportunity of maybe getting a slight mistake.
And now it's still a matter of Ulsrud putting that rock somewhere near that spot
Linja er bra.
and not making it too easy
Linja er bra.
for
Linja er bra.
de Cruz.
Linja er bra. Linja er bra. Ja, bare
Does this
kjør.
have the legs to
Kjør.
get?
Vi må bite, vi må bite.
This is not even reaching the house, is it?
Har det. Wow. Det er greit, det
I
er
think
greit.
it's
Det er
a
greit.
full guard.
I don't think that's what he wanted.
No,
Var nok løs også.
but I don't think it's a bad miss. He's drawing. He doesn't have the opportunity to make him think twice about maybe a hit, maybe a draw, right?
Well, it would be to an advantage to force a player to think about two
Right,
different shots, right?
And that's what you try to do, I guess, in this situation, or at least.
This is pretty clear here.
Right, he's got no. There's nothing else in his mind other than hitting the 4-foot, and what a wonderful way to end a wonderful event. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for coming in, Marcel. Appreciate having you, yes.
The 2 undefeated teams going to a last rock and an extra and 5-5 tie. He'll put this close.
Benoit Schwartz, 11,000 Swiss francs with this shot.
Les deux.
C'est bon.
Ligne parfaite.
À vous les gars. Ti.
Claudio.
Sur le bouton ligne, c'est bon. C'est pas un problème.
Line's good. It's up to you two.
Allez.
Ligne parfaite.
Fort.
Allez les gars.
Looks pretty good.
Watch the sliding path. Breaks down a bit.
Little panic.
A little panic in Peter de Cruz's voice. Excellent shot. Well played game. Very entertaining.
Yep.
Peter de Cruz and his foursome. Baden Masters 2016 champions. $11,000. $8,000 goes to the deserving team Ulsrud. What an entertaining game. What an entertaining weekend. Marcel, thank you very much. Good luck with your team. Maybe we'll see you over in China sometime this season. I hope to be over there myself. And
Perfect. Well, thank you very much again, and it was a wonderful event and wonderful final.
And thanks again for the beer you're buying me right now. Thanks for watching Curling Champions Tour coverage of the Baden Masters. We will be back covering games from the Stockholm Ladies in about a month's time. Check the website, curlingchampionstour.org. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. We hope you enjoyed the coverage this weekend. And good start, everybody, to the new season.